Hello friends, welcome to Universe of Naruto X. If you love Naruto what if stories and anime explanations, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Now let's begin today's story. Na was holding a scroll in his hands as they walked together, making other turn to him. And Naruto, what are you reading? Hinata asked, and the blonde genin grinned as he held down the scroll. This is one of my Ka-chan's scrolls. She gave it to me to memorize, so figured I'd read this while we walk, Naruto said, and Hinata nodded while Shikamaru rubbed his head with a small sigh. You couldn't get me to do genjutsu. It's too troublesome, though. I wonder if I should be surprised that you can. You seemed more like the type that would go for the enjutsu and taijutsu aspects, Shikamaru told him, and Naruto nodded with him. Well, Ka-chan really drilled into me the aspects of genjutsu and the like. Also, I've always wanted to learn her techniques, so I just did it. Enkon told me that it's a good idea to be all-rounded and not stick to one particular style, Naruto said in response, and Anko grinned as she wrapped her arm around Naruto's neck. That's right, I did. I do it all again, Enko said, making the group chuckle like mad before they fell into silence again. Anko-sensei, does the place we're going to have shinobi? Hinata asked, and Anko nodded while a small grin as she explained, that's right, little Hina-chan. It sure does. It's not one of the 5 great nations which hold the most shinobi and political power in the world, but it's considered a country with military power. The odds of us meeting shinobi is rather a gamble. But bandits and the other stuff is almost a certainty. Now then, let's get moving. Team Enko, or well keep our guides waiting, Anko said, and everyone increased their pace towards the docks. A bit later, Enko and her team made it to the docks in about 3 hours and looked around. They saw plenty of sailors carrying supplies onto boats, and they quickly looked around. All right, the scroll says that the ship is around this general area, Enko said, and everyone nodded as they watched Pio. Plea work. Soon there was man who came up to them and got their immediate attention. Hey, are you the group of Konoha shinobi? The sailor asked in a gruff voice. Everyone of Team 8 nodded as the sailor sighed in relief. Finally, we're about to ship off to Numa Nunkuni, and we thought you wouldn't make it. Please, we should hurry before they cast off, he said as everyone followed him to the ship. It wasn't a very big ship. More or less, it was a merchant ship deal for fast travel. A little durable, but not the same quality as others. Na and his teammates got on the boat quickly, then watched as Anko talked with the captain about some things. She handed him some papers before walking over to them. All right, we are to guard this ship from any bandits or pirates that happen to try and sink us. Don't worry, as well plan in case they do get here. A lot of people want to get their hands on this scroll, so make sure we get this done right now. In the meantime, I'll be teaching you all a little trick of mine, Enko told them, which made everyone gulp for a little bit. So, what are we doing? Shikamaru asked, and Enko took out a small smoke bomb. Everyone raised their eyebrow as she stood to her feet. She walked a few ways to the edge of the ship and smiled. This is one of my specially made smoke bombs that will explode on impact. Use your chakra to layer your hands, keeping the bomb from exploding. It's my own personal chakra exercise, Enko said as she threw the ball to Na. The blonde gulped and quickly layered his hands with chakra as he caught the blonde. On instinct, Naruto held it for a second to make sure it wouldn't explode inside. He threw the ball to Hinata and the Hyuga caught it, or rather fumbled with it for a little while before handing it to Shikamaru. The Na simply caught it and threw it back to Enko, and the same process went on throughout the ship. Back in Konoha, Sarutobi had quickly arranged a council meeting after he had received the letter from Kumo. It was quite a major thing that was happening and everyone was gathered around in little to no time at all. Serbi sighed as he sat in his seat while everyone looked confused as to the reason for the presences. Hokage-sama, what's the problem? Shikaku asked as Serbi looked to be in a daze while he was thinking over his words. Everyone started to mutter to themselves over what could possibly be the problem. Serbi looked up and reached into his clothes. Early today, I received a note from Kumo. It's about the arrangement of a political marriage, Serbi said, making everyone gasp. Some unconsciously turned to the Hyuga head, Hyashi, and saw he still had his apathetic face. Unusual. A political marriage, but isn't that a little out of the blue? Some asked and everyone seemed to agree with her while Shikaku stood to his feet. Hokage-sama, may I see that note? The Na asked and Serbi handed the note to him. Shikaku looked it over and narrowed his eyes as he read the note out loud. To Konoha's Hokage, Kumo has recently discussed the prospects of the deal that we had made with Konoha many years ago. We have recognized our mistake in asking for compensation for the kill of one of our Jonin and realized we were at fault for trying to disregard the treaty. In offer of not creating war in the future, we'd like to set up a treaty now in the form of a political marriage of our best Genin student with yours. Respond as soon as possible so we may go over the terms of agreement. Kumo's Rackage. Shikaku finished and everyone narrowed their eyes, especially Hiyashi. Who's our top Genin? Someone asked and Serbi slightly grinned. He held up the list of the most recent graduates of academy students. Well, based on academy stats, then that's Naruto Yuhi, Serbi said, and some people scowled at the name, which wasn't missed on the old Hokage as he sighed. But there was nothing they could do about it at all. So, are we going to accept this? Inoki asked, and Serbi rubbed the back of his head before calmly taking off his hat. He in truth wasn't sure how to feel about this. Here was Kumo trying to make amends for what they did, but a political marriage. I think we should take it. Kumo is the only country that rivals us in military power. I think for the sake of avoiding war, then we should do it, Shikaku said, and some people agreed with him. So, we should go with it then. Well, all right, but it's majority vote. How many say no? Sarobi asked. Serbi asked and the civilian council raised their hands. Granted, this wasn't about the treaty, but Na actually being able to marry someone. And those who say yes? Serbi asked, and the shinobi side raised their hands except Hai. Everyone glanced at the Hyuga head and Serbi sighed. He rubbed the bridge of his nose before addressing the stern-looking Hokage. Hayashi, without you, the boat is tied. What do you say? Serbi asked and Hayashi took the time to glance at everyone. All eyes were on him as the Hyuga sighed. For the longest time and even though I can't say that I completely forgive Kumo for what they made us do. I lost my brother to them and I don't think I'm ready to fully accept them. Hayashi said and most of the civilian council smiled while the shinobi side sighed. But I know when to try and forgive something. At least they are trying to make amends. I guess I agree with it. Hayashi said and the shinobi side smiled with a nod while Serbi furled up the scroll. All right then I'll send a reply immediately. Serbi said as he got up from his seat and left the room while Shikaku turned to Hiyashi. I seriously thought you were going to say no to that one. Shikaku told him and Hiyashi closed his eyes while getting up from his seat. Personal feelings shouldn't rise above the need for the village to grow stronger. I simply acted on that belief, Hiyashi said as he left the room. Some and the others got up also and the Inuzuka head tapped Shikaku's shoulder. So who's telling this to Kurani? Some asked and everyone glanced at Shikaku making the Na sweat drop. Sigh. So damn bothersome. She's going to kill me. Shaku said and everyone patted him on the shoulder and wished him the best of luck with the Ice Queen of Konoha. Back with Team 8. 2 days later, Na sighed as he looked out of the bow of the ship. He was so bored. They had been at the sea for 2 days and so far there were no bandits to fight at all. He figured that they should be grateful for that. But still, he would have liked something to do. Anko had been teaching them her chakra control exercises, which even involved Shikimaru and Hinata trying to walk on water with their chakra, and the end result was them falling more than a couple of times. But they got that down no problem after the first few attempts. It made Na slightly smile because it took him no more than a few hours to learn it. Na turned his head and saw Shikamaru on the deck looking up at the clouds while Hinata and Anko were talking about something. He then opened his jacket and watched Makata uncurl from the ball she had tied herself in to conserve her body heat. Naruto chuckled as he soon saw Makata look at him. Is Naruto-sama? Makata asked and Naruto shook his head. Makata forked her tongue for a bit and she tensed up, which made Naruto know that something was wrong. The last time Makata tensed up was when she felt a small disturbance when Naruto was training with Kurana at one point. Her tensing meant something was about to go down and it might be bad. Makata, do you feel something? Na asked and Makata nodded. She slithered out of Naruto's jacket and proceeded to wrap around his neck. People are coming, Na-sama. I don't know how many, But there is someone dangaroos in the group, Makata told him, and Naruto quickly stood to his feet. He saw a fog rolling in and narrowed his eyes. It was still sunlight and no fog should be coming in unless it was an unnatural fog. Na walked over to Shikamaru and woke him HP, which irked the Na a bit. Naruto, what's that matter? Shikamaru asked, and Naruto narrowed his eyes. We're about to have some company, Naruto told Shikamaru, and the Na fully woke up. They walked over to Enko and Hinata, deciding to warn them also. Anko Na Makata thinks we're about to have some company and I believe her. There is a fog rolling in at the moment, Naruto said to his sister, and Anko got up also with a sigh. She narrowed her eyes with a nod before she bit her thumb. Kushio's no jutsu, Anko yelled, and soon a medium-sized python came on the deck of the ship. Greetings SSS Anko-sama. How may I help you? The snake asked, and Anko grinned. We're about to have some company. Can you help take care of it? Anko asked, and the snake nodded. He then turned to see Makata and grinned. Come on, kiddo. If you're going to be Naruto-sama's familiar, then you'll training also. The snake said, and Makata nodded. Then they both slithered off into the water and disappeared. Na and his team waited as the fog rolled over the ship and Anko barked her orders. Everyone get under the deck and don't come out till we say so. Enko yelled, and all the workers went below deck while Naruto took out his kodaki. All right, here we go, Naruto said as he weaved his hand signs. He carefully sunk into the ground while Anko smirked, using one of his Ka-chan's favorite techniques. That's just like him, Anko said as she quickly hid behind a door while Shikamaru and Hinata in a door next to hers. The four saw about 4 boats arrive, each with 3 people in them. Teammate could only watch as they boarded the ship and looked around. On my signal, Anko said as the bandits look around. Soon another person came on and she smiled. She had a sword attached to her back, but her face was covered with a hunter nin mask. She was in her mid-20s while she had blue hair flowing down her form. The only reason Na knew she was a girl was because she had the figure of one. At least he knew she was a girl and not some guy looking like one. That'd be so weird. There doesn't seem to be anyone here. Kyoko-sama, a bandit said, and the woman smiled before she chuckled. Don't be naive. There is always someone here. I didn't get to be Yagura-sama's second in command by going on things like that, Kyoko said, making Naruto raise an eyebrow. Who's Yagura? Naruto wondered. But then the girl unsheathed her sword and stepped forward. We know you're in here. If you don't want to die, then you will come out immediately, she said, and everyone tensed. Hearing no response, Kyoko chuckled as her sword glowed in seals. She walked around the ship and slashed a small barrel, making it explode. Now she yelled, and everyone tensed again. Enko sighed as she gave a small signal that everyone on her team noticed before she opened the door with her hands up. All right, calm down. I'm here. Are you happy now? Enko asked, and the woman chuckled as she walked up to the snake mistress. So Konoha is here. I hope you know what I want, Kyoko said. And Anko raised an eyebrow. She put a finger to her chin and shrugged her shoulders. Sorry, but I've got no idea what you could want. Mind telling me? Anko asked, and the Kyoko woman's eyebrow twitched before she pointed her sword at Anko's throat. I don't enjoy jokes, so I suggest that you tell me right now, Kyoko said as Anko narrowed her eyes. The snake mistress spared a glance at Naruto, who grinned like mad, and she sighed. I really don't know what the hell you want, Enko said, and Kyoko chuckled before she turned around. She snickered, making her men back up out of fear before she turned to Anko and glared at the woman. Everyone wants to play with me. They don't take me seriously. They think I'm an idiot. I want that document to Numa no Kuni. I refuse for them to gain any ground. Do you know what they did to me? I'll kill anyone who tried to make contact with them, Kyoko said to Enko, and the purple-haired woman raised an eyebrow again before chuckling. Oh. Is that all you wanted? Well, tough luck cause. You'll have to kill me to take it, Anko said with a smile, making Shikamaru and Hinata widen their eyes. Enko winked at Naruto, and the blonde quickly went through his hand signs while Kyoko shrugged. Suit yourself, Kyoko said as she easily slashed Anko in half. The snake mistress gasped as she started to blood. Hyoko grinned at her accomplishment before the vision of Anko faded into nothingness, making her frown. It's a trick, Hayoko yelled as Na jumped out of the ground and smiled. Isn't that obvious? Naro asked as everyone turned around. Na finished his hand signs and grinned. Genjutsu Kokuongo no Jutsu. Illusion Infinite Darkness Technique. Na yelled as the darkness quickly enveloped everyone in the vicinity. This was the only A-rank genjutsu technique that he knew. It was also the only one that he learned that wasn't made from his mother. Lastly, it was the only A-rank technique he knew altogether. Kurenai had showed him the technique during one of their training sessions. She said that all true genjutsu users knew this technique and she only told Naro to use it if the situation called for it, which he figured was a good enough time. For this, Kyoko and her men tensed as they felt the darkness surround them. It was kind of heavy and at the same time very thick. Kyoko-sama, how do we get out of here? I can't see anything in front of me, the guy said, and Kyoko rolled her eyes. Calm down. This is nothing, Kyoko said before she felt a slash come across her side. She winced at the pain, then gasped as she was kicked across the face, sending her to the ground. Kyoko cursed as she got to her feet. Shikamaru, it's time that you did your part. Naru yelled and Shikamaru nodded as he knelt down on one knee and did his hand signs. Kajane no Jutsu. Shikamaru yelled as he sent his shadow going for the figures. He was lucky that they were standing still thanks to Naruto's genjutsu and they stayed that way. Kajmane's success, Shikamaru said as Anko signaled for Hinata. The Hyuga charged at Kyoko's men and quickly disabled them with her Juken and Bakugan. She wasted no time at all and she was luck just as Kyoko grew aware of her surroundings. Damn brat, I'm going to get you for that, Kyoko said as she charged at Naruto. The blonde widened his eyes as she slashed her sword at him, but Na dodged her and grinned as he took out his Kodaki. He quickly went through a hand sign while Kyoko looked at the ground. Hi, Naruto said as a seal tag exploded, but Kyoko easily dodged it and turned to Anko. Not bad for the snake mistress of Konoha. You have some good genin, Kyoko said as she turned around to Anko. The snake mistress chuckled with a nod as she dropped into a taijutsu stance. Well, I try. Don't lower your guard or my kitties are going to mess you up, Anko said, and she and Kyoko fought each other. They both moved fast and hard as the sounds of Kana filled the boat. Anko handed the document to Na and the blonde grinned as he put it in his pouch, making Kyoko narrow her eyes. You know, why don't you remove that mask so I can see the face of the person whose butt I'm kicking? Anko said, and Kyoko chuckled at the Tokobutsujin. Kyoko reached for her mask and Naro waited with some bated breath. But Kyoko put her hand down. Sorry, but no one is to see my face. Now then, how about I kill you all? Take that note and rip it to shreds, Kyoko said with a smile behind her mask as Naruto came in front of Anko. With who? It hardly seems fair that it's 4 against 1, Na said, and Kyoko chuckled as she raised her hand into the air. Don't worry about that, as I have. She stopped when she heard screaming. Na and Anko chuckled as they heard the cries of people about 2 snakes as they destroyed the boats and the people on them. Na and Anko chuckled as the woman behind the mask gritted her teeth into a smile. All right, kid, you just signed your death wish, Kyoko said. And Naruto quickly blocked her sword strike with his 2 Kodaki. But she was stronger and he wasn't. She showed that when she quickly pivoted her foot and in a swift motion, she sent Naruto flying into the air, but the blonde wasn't Finnis. Head. He watched as Shikamaru and Hinata clashed with her also along with Anko. And Naruto had to act fast. Well, let's see what can I do. Na wondered as he didn't want to destroy the boat, but then he got a good idea. The blonde quickly weaved his hand signs and casted another genjutsu as his teammates began to fade around Kyoko's vision. She watched the ship break apart as she fell into the water. She coughed and looked around. She gasped when the waves picked out around her and consumed her, causing her to stumble further and further into the depths. Kyoko, you have failed me, a small young man said, and Kyoko widened her eyes. She was looking at Yagura, her former Mazukage. Yagura-sama, I didn't fail you, Kyoko said, and Yagura turned his back to her. I have no need for someone like you. Go live out the rest of your days in despair, Yagura said before he disappeared. Kyoko widened her eyes as the darkness swirled around her and easily consumed her. And that's game, Dado, Naruto said as Kyoko widened her eyes. She saw she had been pinned to a wall by Anko with a kunai to her neck. She huffed and looked to see Hinata. Shikamaru and Narad grinning at her. Enko turned around and snickered. Niece, Genjutsu, nah, Enko told him while Kyoko raised an eyebrow. Genjutsu, she asked, and Narad sheepishly chuckled as he rubbed the back of his head. He patted Hinata's shoulder and Shikamaru's shoulder. If you guys didn't distract her like we planned, then it would have failed. Still, I can't believe that worked. I seriously thought she'd kill us, Narad said, making everyone slightly chuckle. Just get it over with. Kill me so I don't have to be near you all anymore, Kyoko said, and everyone rolled their eyes at her. Enko placed a chakra restriction seal on her before walking the Jonin-level shinobi to the bottom of the ship. Well, we obviously can't leave her down here, so who's going to watch her until we reach the shore? Enko asked deviously, making the 3 genin sweat drop as she pointed out that she wouldn't be doing it. Naruto sighed as he raised his hand, offering to do so. Enko smirked and nodded while Shikamaru, and Hinata left the blonde alone. Naruto sat down in the storage hold of the ship. Hayoko slightly growled while Na took out a scroll. Both were relatively quiet and didn't have anything to say to each other, much less acknowledge the other's presence. This was going to be a long boat ride for them both. Back in Kumo, a short blonde-haired girl was seen walking towards the wreckage mansion. She was fairly light-skinned with light blue eyes that showed a small coldness in them. Her clothes consisted of a gray short-sleeved shirt along with some gray Kumo shorts. She wore some arm guards and leg guards while she was wearing some black shinobi sandals. She walked along with her teammates who were next to her. One had red hair and the other had white hair. The 3 were Simui, Karui, and Omoi. They had just received news from their wreckage and were on their way to the mansion. So, what do you think he wants with you, Simui? You didn't do something, did you? Karui asked with a grin while Simui rolled her eyes. Very funny. Let's get going, Simui said, and her teammates followed her up the stairs of the wreckage mansion. They had all just completed a mission with their sensei. They wanted to rest for a bit. But when wreckage called for them, they didn't mind walking for a little longer. Simui knocked on the door and waited for a reply from their wreckage. Come in, A said. And Simui opened the door. She walked inside along with her team and everyone bowed to their wreckage who made them raise their heads. Everyone did so and stood before her and waited for him to speak. All right, everyone. The reason I've called you here is because of a treaty we have made with Konoha. I said, making the 3 genin narrow their eyes. They sat down in some chair available to them and allowed their wreckage to continue. Is that a good thing though? Omoi asked and nodded before continuing. That is right, it is. A few hours ago, we received a message from Konoha saying that they would like to enter the treaty with us and will be meeting them soon. I said to them and Simui placed one leg over the other. So, what does this have to do with us? Simui asked while Karui and Omoi tensed and the wreckage noticed. It's not really all of you but you, Simui. You are going to have a political marriage with their best male genin, said, making Simui narrow her eyes. Karui dropped her jaw and Omoi widened his eyes. You're kidding. Why does Simui have to get married to someone she doesn't know? And why are we even making this treaty at all? Did we do something wrong? Kui asked before Simui calmed her down along with Omoi aside and tapped the desk of his table. You 3 weren't old enough at the time to know about it. But there was a certain incident that happened between us and Konoha. I wasn't the wreckage at the time, but my father, the Sandaime, was the wreckage, and he was known for being power-hungry on more than one occasion. We had a treaty with Konoha before, but our Sandaime did something. He tried to kidnap the Hyuga clan when she was a child, said, making Simui, Karui, and Omoi gasp. But it continued on. Anyway, the Hyuga killed our Jonin and rescued their Aries back. But learning of it, Kuma warned Konoha that if we didn't receive some compensation that we'd go to war, and Th. Ey offered one of their Haug members in return for the life of our own shinobi. Only then did we realize the mistake in what we did, but it was too late. Konoha hasn't tried anything with us, but we know that they secretly wanted compensation and rather go through another war. We both agreed to a political marriage. Finished and Simui looked at the ground. Karui and Omoi remained silent and let the news sink in. I see. So, who am I marrying? Simui asked and Karui widened her eyes. Simui, you're not really going through with this, are you? Karui asked and Simui nodded. She stood to her feet and simply gazed out the window. It's all right, Karui, Simui said, but Karui shook her head. No, it's not. You could have a total bastard for a husband and you wouldn't mind, Karui asked. And Simui sighed. She closed her eyes and folded her arms underneath her rather impressive assets. I said it's all right. So Rakage-sama, who am I marrying? Simui asked with a cold glare and stood to his feet. We just know it's their top genin. We'll be leaving for Konoha in a day. But don't worry just yet. Before this marriage can be fully agreeable, I'll have something to prove this boy's worth. And if I don't like it, then the marriage might be off or you'll get another mate. I said to her and Simui merely nodded while Karui seemed somewhat satisfied with that answer. Well, I guess that's great. So, what are you going to do? Kui asked in a grin. We're going to in Konoha. Kurenai widened her eyes at what Shikaku just told her. The Na head gulped as Kurenai narrowed her eyes into a cold glare, making people around them slightly back away. She quickly got to her feet and walked towards the Hokage mansion. I'm getting an explanation and I'm getting it now, Kurenai said to herself, leaving Shikaku mentally screaming for his Hogue to find someplace safe, but it was too late. He followed Kurana as they walked up the stairs. And while Kurana was mad, she wasn't mad enough that she would burst into the Hoage's office. But she really had to suppress the urge. She knocked on the door, waiting for the Hokage to answer. Saratobi heard the door get knocked on and gulped. He could feel the key radiating through the door, and he really didn't want to open it, but he did nonetheless. Come in, he said with a slight shudder in his voice as Kurana opened the door. She quickly erased the distance between herself and the Hokage before she had her hands on the desk. Sui-sama, please explain to me about the news I just heard. What's this about my son being used in a political marriage to Kumo? Kurenai asked, and Serbi gulped again. He could feel the lump in his throat and swallowed it down. Well, Kurenai-san, let's talk about this calmly. All right, Sarobi asked and Kurenai glared at her Hokage for a minute before stepping back and sitting in a chair. Doing that, Serbi explained to her about the entire thing with Kumo, making Kurana understand the situation. She sighed when she calmed down. It was just like her Naruto to be in this situation because he was the strongest genin. That made things difficult. And that's all Kurani's saying. I have told you everything, Saratobi said. And Kurani leaned her arms on her legs. She looked at the ground and sighed. She closed her eyes for a few minutes and leaned back up. Sigh. I suppose I can see that, but that doesn't mean I approve of this course of action. Serbi-sama, I'm Naruto's mother, and you should have told me. Kurani told him, and Herzen apologized for it. Kurini rubbed her temples and sighed. I can only wonder how Naruto-kun is going to take this. Kurani said to herself, but Serbi nodded also as he wondered how the blonde would take it also. Kurani got up from her seat fast and headed for the door. I'm going to go think. Oh, and Sarutobi-sama. When I'm done thinking about this, I want to know why you sent my Naruto-kun on a C rank mission. Kurani said as she closed the door with a glare while Serbi slammed his head on the desk. This day just wasn't going well for him at all. Back with Na, the blonde sighed as he read through his scroll. He noticed out of the corner of his eyes that Makata had slithered down the stairs. The Kyoko woman seemed to notice also, but it confused her when she saw Na open his jacket, and she watched as the snake slithered into the jacket. Then nothing else happened. Naruto sighed as he found it to be late. He got up from where he was sitting and walked upstairs. Kyoko watched him leave, but he quickly came back 2 minutes later with a tray of food. He walked up to her and sighed. Here, you should eat something, Na said. But Kyoko just stayed silent and ignored him. Naruto's eyebrow twitched as he glared at the woman in the white mask. He sighed and knelt down. He grabbed her mask, which certainly got a rise out of her at the moment. What the hell are you doing, brat? Let go of my mask, she yelled as Na stopped his hand. Oh, so you can talk. I thought a snake had your tongue for a second. Now then, eat. You need your strength, Naruto told her, and the swordsman glared at her captor. I'm fine now. Leave me alone, Kyoko said, and Naruto sighed as he left the tray in front of her. He then sat back down in his spot and continued to read his scroll before he muttered something. Don't be mad at me, cause you fell for a C rank genjutsu, Naruto said with a snicker, and the woman gritted her teeth at behind her mask. Who was this guy that could piss her off so much? HMP. I was simply distracted. Plus, I wasn't even serious. That's why you won. Don't get, she muttered. And Naruto chuckled. And that's why you're tied up and hungry, but too damn stubborn to eat the food I want to give you, the blonde told her. And Kyoko growled. It was also embarrassing when his stomach growled, making Naro give a hidden smirk. Told Yadabado. Naro said, and Kyoko growled again. HMPH. Maybe you need food, but I don't just go back to reading your worthless scroll right there. Kyoko told him, and Naruto turned to her. He stood up and walked over to her and reached for her mask. Don't you dare touch me, Kyoko yelled. And Na didn't stop. He took off her mask and watched her remaining hair fall to the sides of her face. Na raised an eyebrow at her before he had one word to say. Beautiful, the blonde said in slight awe. And Kyoko raised an eyebrow before slightly blushing. Shut up and put my mask back on, she said to him. And Na shook his head. Why should you hide your face? If you weren't the enemy, I might say you were something nice, Naruto told her. And Kyoko snorted. Flattery gets you nowhere, Kyoko said. And Naro simply shrugged his shoulders while Kyoko was wondering why she was even talking to the blonde. In the first place, she easily tried to chalk that up to the boredom of being tied up. Not to mention, she was also hungry, but her pride made her a fool. So, are you going to eat or not? Na asked, and his response was a HMP. While Kyoko turned her back to him. Naruto chuckled as he rubbed the back of his head. He knew this type of woman as he saw a lot of her in his sister, Anko. I'll never eat that slop, Kyoko said to him, and Na grinned as he took a spoonful of food. All right, I guess I'll eat it myself. I hate to let food go to waste, Na said to her, and Kyoko's eyebrow twitched. She heard the utensils clatter over the plates as she heard Naruto compliment the food. She could feel her resolve weakening as her stomach grew tighter. Her hair shadowed her eyes, and she gritted her teeth. Back off the food. Kyoko stopped as Naruto popped the spoon in her mouth and smiled as he saw Kyoko's surprised face. The blonde took it out of her mouth and smiled as Kyoko swallowed the food. I can eat by myself, the woman said, and Naruto nodded as he took another spoonful of food and held it up to her mouth. The woman glared at him and Na simply kept up his smile. Just eat the food, Dado, Naruto told her, and Kyoko grumbled before reluctantly taking more of the food. Naruto continued this process until all the food was gone and the woman was satisfied. The blonde sighed and grinned. Now, was that so hard? Na asked and Kyoko rolled her eyes at him before the blonde walked back to his seat and opened up a book. I knew I saw your face before. You're Kyoko Fura, the A-rank missing nin from Kuriaka. You're wanted by nearly all of Kiri, Naruto said, and Kyoko raised an eyebrow. Mind telling me why a genin knows about the bingo book? Kyoko and Naro chuckled. You don't want to know about that. It's a stupid story. So what about you? Never thought you'd hate Numa Nuni so much. Naro said and he noticed the extra deep scowl on her face. It doesn't matter. It's not like you could understand, Kyoko said to Na. And the blonde looked up at the ceiling for a second. Try me, Dado, Naro said. And Kyoko rolled her eyes. She decided to humor the blonde and told him some of her life and her problems with Marsh Country. Naruto was shocked to learn that she was originally a shinobi from the country, but it was ruled by a tyrant damu. Anyone who tried to fight him was executed. She told him about our parents and how they died because of being in the middle of one of the raids. The damu did to everyone. She told him how she narrowly escaped death the few times that she had tried to run away. And the time that she succeeded was when she saw Yagura and agreed to follow him, but he was beginning to show tyranny to his subjects as he started the bloodline purge. She said how she couldn't take him anymore and left to be deemed a traitor for her life. When Kyoko stopped talking, she didn't realize that it was almost close to morning. And that's why I hate the Martian Kiri. People too proud of power that they try and usurp others and abuse them. That's why I hate them, Kyoko said. And Na chuckled, then laughed, making Kyoko raise an eyebrow. Why the hell are you laughing? She asked, and Naruto shook his head in an apology. Sorry, I didn't mean to laugh. It's just that I can sort of relate to those like you, Naruto told her. And Kyoko narrowed her eyes at him before Naruto explained. It was now his turn as he told Kyoko about his life. He told her about being hated by his village and how he was beaten nearly every single day for reasons that he didn't know. He also told her about how his village's council would try to make his life even more miserable than it was. Needless to say, Kyoko had to ask her own question to the blonde. So, why do you stay there? You should leave and come with me, Kyoko said, enjoying the suggestion, even if she didn't want to admit it. But Naruto smiled and shook his head. Because I have important people in there. I have my mother, my sister, Matam, and my friends back in Konoha. It's not a bad place, but I have power also. I don't abuse it, and I fight to protect what's important to me, Naruto told her. And Kyoko sighed as she leaned her head back into the wall. What a cheeky brat you are, she said, and Naruto shrugged his shoulders. Hey, at least we're having an engaging conversation now, Na told her. And Kyoko actually did something he didn't expect, she chuckled. It was a nice laugh, very melodious and different from the usual chuckles she gave when they were fighting. I suppose. Oh well, at least before I die, I'll be able to say I had an interesting conversation with someone. Kyoko said, and Na raised an eyebrow. Who said you're going to die? Na asked, and Kyoko snorted. Well, you are going to turn me to Kiri for the reward, aren't you? Kyoko asked, and Naruto snorted back, making her look at him in confusion. I could do that, or I could ask that you come back to my village with me, Naruto said, and Kyoko looked at him incredulously. You're a few Kaishava said, if you think I'm going to align myself to another power-hungry village, and judging by the way you said you were treated, I'd rather take my chances being on my own, Kyoko said. And Naruto got up and walked over to her. He sat next to her and smiled. Come on, you know you want to come have a nice hot meal every day. Get a nice warm bath. I doubt you get that every day, Naruto told her. And Kyoko felt some of her resolve weaken. She really hadn't had any of that in a while. In fact, her latest meal was the one that Na fed her. HMPH. Bribery doesn't work on me, brat. I've been through a lot not to get worked up over that, Kyoko said. And Na grinned. Oh. Come on, Kyoko. You know you want to come, Na said, and immediately Kyoko glared at him. Who the hell are you calling Kyoko Nei? That better not be me, Kyoko said. And Na chuckled. Is there any other Kyoko Nei in here? Na asked and Kyoko HMM'd again. She gave a small smirk and turned to him. You're weird, she said. And Naruto smiled at her. He simply nodded and rubbed his head. Ka-chan said that too. I wonder why, Na said and Kyoko snorted. It's because you don't know how to get some sense when someone talks to you. Kyoko said to him and Na pouted. Hey, I have sense. I have better sense than you. Man, you wore a mask for crying out loud. And I was just trying to be nice. And it's morning, Naruto said as Kyoko looked to see the sun coming up through the stairway. They had been talking all night. No sleep. I've never not slept before. I must be so tired. Dado. Na panicked and Kyoko chuckled. She tried to sit up on her knees and blushed. Just sleep on my damn lap, man. This is your fault. I can't believe I'm opening up to someone like you. Someone I could confide in. How unsightly for me, Kyoko said, but then she felt a plop on her lap and saw Naruto sleeping soundly. She gawked for a few minutes before sighing and looking at the ceiling. She widened her eyes when she saw Anko looking at her through the stairs. So, missing Nin has a bit of a soft side for my little brother, ha. Anko said, and Kyoko rolled her eyes. Don't you dare say anything to anyone, Kyoko whispered. And Anko knelt down in front of her. Hey, I love my little brother, too. I just didn't think that he got you to open up in about 8 to 10 hours. It's better than what I could possibly do, Anko said, and Kyoko rolled her eyes. Both saw Na nudge a bit on Kyoko's lap before they sighed. Well, silence irks me to no end. I swear his attitude is a disease. I just found myself talking with him as the night went on. He's a weird brat, Kyoko said, and Anko nodded before smiling. Yeah, he's like that. He just has a quality that makes anyone like him when they have the time to talk to him. I could never figure it out. Hell, I bet he could become friends with the entire world if they all had the chance to talk with him, Anko said. And Kyoko looked at him. No one's ever called me Kyoko. Nay, it's weird to hear it for the first time, but not in a bad way, I guess. Do you think he was joking when he said he'd like me to go back with him? Kyoko asked, and Anko's smile faded slightly. He's not like that at all. If he wanted you to come back, then he wanted you to come back. He's always been like that. Hell, that's how he found Mata, Anko said. And Kyoko raised an eyebrow. Makata, she asked. And Anko unzipped Naruto's jacket and both looking inside at the sleeping snake. His snake familiar found her out in the training ground. She was injured, he helped her and brought her home. Maybe you should be like Makata, Anko suggested, and Kyoko rolled her eyes. She looked to the side at some barrels and slowly thought to herself. She muttered things over and sighed. I guess if he's there, then a place won't be so bad, even if I hate some of your power-hungry officials. But I guess he could be right. Just so you know, I'm not doing this for you, him, or anyone else. I'm doing this for me and me alone, Kyoko said, and Anko smirked. Whatever floats your boat. So, do you still want this document or not? The snake mistress asked, waving it in front of Kyoko, and the swordsman slightly glared before huffing. Get that thing out of my sight before I rip it to shreds, Kyoko said with a huff, and Anko nodded, getting rid of it. Both looked down at Naruto, who yawned. Ankon. Kyoko nay. It's my ramen, Naruto said, making Anko and Kyoko chuckle before the captive's eyes gleamed. Ramen. Did he say ramen? Konoha has ramen. I love ramen, Kyoko said almost aloud, waking Naruto up as Anko snickered. Yep, she's definitely like Naruto. Tuki, you're about to get some real good business, Anko said to herself before she took out a kunai. I still wonder about your intentions. But hey, if someone's right to me, then I have no reason to keep them tied up. But one wrong move, and I'll show you why I'm the second best at the interrogation department of Konoha, Anko said as she untied Kyoko's ropes. The blue-haired woman sighed as she raised her hand. Anko almost tensed before Kyoko lowered it and ruffled Naruto's hair before smiling. He's a pain, but he's cute when he's sleeping, Kyoko said. And Anko nodded. Soon, Shikamaru and Hinata came down the stairs. Anko-sensei, we found land. Shikamaru paused as he saw their captive stroking Naruto's blonde hair. He turned to see Anko grinning while Hinata seemed confused. Did I miss something? Shikamaru asked as Kyoko glared at the Nara. Quiet. If you wake him up then by came cut you in half, Kyoko said as Shikamaru quickly backed away. Troublesome woman, the Nara said next to the stairs. But they had to wake the blonde up even if he wasn't sleeping long. Nah, we have a mission to do, so let's go. It won't take long, so you can go to sleep on the ride back, Anko said, and Naruto quickly got up. He rubbed his eyes and everyone walked out of the boat. The walk to the palace was relatively short for everyone as the mansion wasn't far. They entered the mansion and came up to the man in charge. Also, I guess you made it. How nice. I was hoping you would, the man said as Anko handed him the note. He looked over its contents and nodded before giving him the Marsh Country's reply. Anko put it away and just as easily they were ready to set sail again. Naruto had complained that there was no action involved in the fight, but Kyoko countered and asked him if she wasn't enough of a challenge, which Na gulped and immediately told her that she was. After that, Kyoko and Naruto were busy sleeping beside each other on the deck of the ship while Shikamaru, you and Hinata turned to Anko. Even I have to find that weird. She was our enemy just a day ago. How did Naruto change her in that time? Shikamaru asked and Anko grinned. That's just like him. I guess we should just be lucky that this mission went off without a hitch, Anko said. And soon the waters began to rumble and shake violently. Everyone shifted under the heavy waves before they saw something emerge from the sea. WWW, what is that? Hinata asked, widening her eyes in fear. Shikamaru sighed as he rubbed the back of his head. Oh man, that is such a drag. Shikamaru said while Anko whistled. A giant kraken came out of the water and roared out at them, making the waves crash around. Everyone braced for the edges of the ship and noticed Naruto and Kyoko still sleeping. How can they still sleep? Shikamaru wondered, and the giant creature roared again, making Kyoko open her eyes. She growled and stood to her feet. She saw everyone pointing behind her, and the blue-haired woman turned around to see the giant creature behind her. You woke me up from my nap. I hate being woken up, Kyoko said as she grabbed her sword. She unsheathed it and quickly brought it back. The creature roared and thrashed around before Kyoko jumped into the air. Vanish in the hidden storm. High Jutsu. Mayakuro Rai hidden blade technique. Pulsation rage. Kyoko yelled as she slashed at the kraken, and a light blue aura surrounded her sword as she making it shine, blinding everyone. As Kyoko hit the ground, she sheathed her sword and smirked. Not enough to scare me, Kyoko said as the creature fell into the ocean with multiple slash marks around its B. Odi. Everyone gasped as Kyoko sat back down next to Na. How did you do that? You really are a Kenjutsu woman, Shikamaru said, and Kyoko raised a tired eye at them all. It's easy enough. I told you I was previously one of the swordsmen of the mist. Defeating something like that is child's play, Kyoko said. And Hinata quickly WKED over also. But we were able to fight you almost by ourselves. How could you be taken so easily? Hinata asked her, and Kyoko rubbed the back of her head and chuckled. 2 reasons. 1. It was 4 against 1. Kyoko said, making everyone nod with that as she sort of blushed in embarrassment at the second one. And the second one is that I suck at trying to dispel genjutsu. Kyoko said, making everyone falter completely, which made her laugh. Na yawned as he woke up also. What's all the noise about Dado? Na asked, rubbing his eyes, and Kyoko shrugged her shoulders. Come on, people, keep it down. We're trying to sleep here, she said as the two quickly laid back down on the deck and went to sleep, making Enko gulp. NC-han is going to kill me for this, Enko thought as she watched Naruto and Kyoko sleep. Teammate had no idea what was in store for them at the moment when they got back home. Saratobi was currently writing and signing some more documents in his office as he blew a puff of his smoke. The Sandaime sighed at the slow day the village was having. He and Kurani had talked about some things, and Serbi agreed that she should be there when the wreckage came so she could get a look at the woman that Naruto was supposed to marry. Granted, it still irked her that her own son was being used in a political marriage. There wasn't all that much that she could do. I really wish there was something going on. Oh well, at least the day is slow. Any surprises would be greatly welcomed in my personal opinion, Serbi said to himself before someone came through the door. He looked up to see Konoha's 2 gate guards, Azumo and Kato. Something I can help you two with? Serbi asked while Ormo and Katetsu gulped and stepped to the side. Soon the wreckage came through the door with a grin while Sirobi widened his eyes. Yeah, you can greet us. Hokage Dono, I said while Serbi stood to his feet. He quickly walked around the corner of his desk. Wreckage Dono, when did you arrive? I wasn't even informed that you had appeared in the village, Serbi said as I walked inside along with Simui, Karui, and Omoi. It's a small surprise. Hokage Dono. Don't read too much into it. Now then, I'd like to talk with you about what we discussed in our letter. I said in Seruto sighed when he said he wanted a surprise. That wasn't exactly what he meant, but asking you receive something, even if you're not expecting it. Well, it is a pleasure that you've arrived. Wreckage Dono, unfortunately, our genin that we would have you meet is out on a mission with his squad at the moment. He will return soon enough, so I'd appreciate it if you could wait for his return, Serbi said in a nod. The Hokage snapped his finger and immediately an Ambu bowed before him. See that the Wreckage and his associates are treated with hospitality, Serbi commanded, and the Ambu nodded as he showed him the door. Kona sure knows how to be polite at least, Karui said to her teammates, making Omoi nod while Simui stayed silent. The 4 were guided out of the room while Serbi sighed. Hokage-sama, any reason why Kumo is here? Katetsu asked in the Sandaime side as he rubbed the back of his head. It's something you'll know about later, but for now, don't ask any questions. Also, get Kiran-san for me. She and her team should still be finishing up a D rank mission, so I'm sure she will want to know everything. You're dismissed, Sarutobi said, and the 2 Chunin vanished out of sight while Sarutobi sat back down in his chair. This was all going to become a massive headache to him, with Kurenai Yuhi. Kurenai watched Ino, Shoji, and Shino do their work of painting the fences of a client while she heard the small grumbles from the blonde of the group. But that was understandable. Missions like these had no use for shinobi. Doing chores that civilians were too lazy to do themselves. It staggered the mind of how different things were from back when Kurenai was a child. Kurenai-sensei, how long do we have to do this menial labor? Ino asked while Karani sighed before getting to her feet. This is to help you build teamwork, Ino. You must master this before you take on the higher missions, Kurenai said while Shino turned to Ino. This is the most logical conclusion, Ino. We know nothing about each other, and if we're not prepared, then we won't know our enemy, the RM responded, and Ino just settled for nodding. Whatever, bug boy. Sigh. I wonder what Sasuke-kun and Naruto-kun are doing. Ino said, daydreaming while Choji's stomach grumbled. I'm hungry. When is lunch? Shoji grumbled, making Karana sigh at her team, but she could deal with it, she figured. Soon, the Genjutsu mistress turned around to see Azuma walking up to her. She raised an eyebrow while Ino, Shino, and Choji glanced at the two. Ormo, what are you doing here? Kurenai asked, and Azuma gulped. He whispered in her ear, and Team 9 noticed Karana narrow her eyes as she visibly tensed slightly before they saw Azuma disappear. Kurenai-sensei, what's wrong? Ino asked, and the Genjutsu mistress turned to her squad. After we're done with this mission, you three will have the day off. We were scheduled for training exercises, but something came up and I'll have to do it later. Well, probably do this tomorrow. Now come on and get this work done, Karani said, clapping her hands as the three continued. None of them saw Karani's cold glare as she looked at the sky for a bit. So he's here, huh? Well, that's not going to be good, Kurenai thought as she wondered where her son was at the moment. With Team 8, Enko and her squad currently left the port with the newest accessory and were traveling back. On the road into Konoha, everyone was currently conversing amongst themselves about how everything went down. So, Kyoko-chan defeated a giant sea monster with one technique of her sword. That's awesome, Na exclaimed, and Kyoko rubbed the back of her head with a small blush. I told you guys it was no big deal. I was one of Kiri's top swordsmen. It was no big deal to me at all. So, when are we supposed to be arriving in Konoha anyway? Kyoko asked, and Anko took out the map. In about 2 hours, maybe less. For now, we'll have to hurry, Enko said. And everyone rushed through the trees. They all couldn't wait to tell their Hokage about the success of their mission and who they even got for a friend out of it. So, you suck at dispelling genjutsu. What's up with that? Na asked with a laugh while Kyoko smacked him over the head. Hey, I'm still a good shinobi without learning how to do that. Show some respect, she said to him. And Na rubbed the back of his head. Sorry, I just didn't know that one of Kira's swordsmen was able to get caught in AC rank genjutsu. It's funny, Naruto said to her, and Kyoko narrowed her eyes while Hinata and Shikamaru snickered. HMPH, whatever. I could still kick your butt if I wanted, she said. And Naruto raised an eyebrow. Anko face-palmed herself while Hinata and Shikamaru wondered if this was about to become something very weird. You're on, Kyoko-chan. Maybe I'll take it easy on you and use a simple D-rank genjutsu this time as you had trouble with that C-rank, Naruto said as he saw Kyoko's blue hair shadowing her eyes. The blonde gulped before he quickly shot forward while Kyoko grabbed her sword. Okay, brat, I'll teach you, Kyoko yelled, chasing after Naruto, while the rest of the group continued to laugh. They're so troublesome. They act like they were never enemies, Shikamaru said while Anko nodded. She could definitely see the smiles on Kyoko's face. It must have been one of the first real smiles she had ever given or allowed herself to show. Sometimes it's better that way. You meet a lot of strange people in the world. It seems she was just lucky to meet Naruto, or who knows what she would become. Remember this rule. You two, as both Naruto and Kyoko know this all too well. Yesterday's enemy might be tomorrow's friend. Never forget that and you'll strengthen your bonds a lot of times. Enko instructed, making Shikamaru and Hinata nod while they saw Kyoko still chasing Na and Naruto-kan's formation of bonds must be a strange thing. Hinata said, making Anko nod while Shikamaru sighed. Sigh. The only bond I want to make right now is one with my pillow. Man, I'm tired, Shikamaru muttered while Anko rolled her eyes. Gaki, you're always tired. Don't worry, I'll beat that laziness out of you, Enko said with a cheeky grin while Shikamaru effortlessly nodded. Troublesome, the Nara said to himself as everyone continued to run towards their village. 2 hours later, Na and the group were coming up to the Konoha gates and sighed in relief. Finally made it. Now we just have to clear this with Gigi and then we can go home. We can also find you a home also. Kyoko-chan, Narita told her, and the blue-haired Kenjutsu woman settled for simply nodding as they approached the gates. They all saw Azumo and Kotetsu watching them as usual until they saw Anko's group. Hey Anko, back already? Ormo asked, and the Tokubetu-jan and nodded with a slight grin on her face. That's right, the mission wasn't very difficult. It would have been much less difficult if not for somebody. Anko spoke, glaring at Kyoko, who had a slightly confident grin on her face. Well, it's nice to see you back, but Hokage-sama needs your team in his office. Well, not his entire team, but more precisely Narita right now, Kato reported. And Anko raised an eyebrow. Well, we were just going there, but what does he need Narok for? She asked them, and the blonde raised an eyebrow. It was a rarity that his Gigi ever needed him for anything. So, he wondered what he could want. Naturally, Hinata and Shikamaru were curious as to what their Hokage could want with Narita also, but they figured that they would know about soon enough. Well, the Raikage of Kumo is here talking with Hokage-sama, and he just said that he wants to see you know. So, you'd better get going now, Azumo told her. And Anko nodded with a slight thank you. Well, thank you for that. We'll be going then, Anko said as everyone walked off. They decided not to dawdle any more than they already had. I wonder what he wants with me, Narita said to them while Shikamaru rubbed his head. Maybe you did your usual pranks. I still remember when you unleashed so many snakes on the academy as a joke and everyone was screaming out at the top of their heads. Sheesh. You get that from our sensei. I bet, Shikamaru answered while Kyoko raised an eyebrow. He did what? She asked. And Hinata explained the incident while Narita and Anko were laughing at the past prank that they did together. Naruto had told us about the prank before it actually happened. We were more prepared for it, but soon there was giant ball of cloth that came from the ceiling. It showed a bag of hungry snakes that went for the first thing they could find, which was us. All the students were screaming like mad and they closed the academy for 3 days. And the weird part was that no one figured out who started the entire thing, but we all knew since the only ones who were associated with snakes were Naruto and Anko sensei. It was the only time that the academy had been closed. Hinata finished and Kyoko glared at Narita and Anko. Both were ready to get scolded by the Kenjutsu woman while Kyoko sighed. You guys couldn't do better than that? Kyoko asked, making Narita and Anko widen their eyes while Hinata and Shikamaru turned to her like she was insane. What did you say? Anko asked, and Kyoko rolled her eyes. She wrapped her arm around Naruto's neck and grinned. I said, you couldn't do better than that. Come on, I did better than that during my academy days, Kyoko said, and Na raised an eyebrow. Oh. And how did the great Kyoko-sama do her pranks? Narita asked and Kyoko chuckled evilly, making Hinata and Shikamaru back away slightly. Are you kidding? I was able to close our academy for 2 months all with a pencil, some glue, and 12 sets of kana. I said while Narita gasped and so did Anko. Kyoko-chan, you have to tell us how you did it. Naro said as they walked up the stairs while Kyoko visibly smirked with a hidden gleam in her eye. Well, all right. It all started when Hokage office, Serbi, Kurani along with the Raikage and Team Simui were all waiting for Naruto's group to arrive. While they were waiting, Karui snuck behind Simui and decided to whisper in her ear. Are you sure about this, Simui? You've never met this guy before. How can you live with something like this? Kui asked, and Simui closed her eyes. Karui, just be cool and don't let it bother you. I told you it was all right. Whoever I marry won't matter to me, Simui responded and Karui sighed. She hated that impassive side of her teammate, but knew she couldn't do anything to stop her. Omoi sighed and rubbed his head. At least with Raikage-sama plan, you might not have to marry him if he doesn't pass Raikage-sama's require. Ament, Omoi said, and Karui nodded with a slight snicker. But then Simui glared at them both. It's not cool to wish for someone's demise. You don't even know him. So don't talk trash about someone. Understand? Samui asked and Karui nodded along with Omoi. The two apologized to the blonde girl as they heard a knock at the door. Come in, Serbi said and immediately the door opened. Both he and Kurenai smiled as they saw Naro, Hinata, Shikamaru and Anko come through the door. They were surprised at a mysterious woman who appeared with them also, but that could be dealt with later. Hello Anko, how was the mission? Saratobi asked, and Anko gave him a thumbs up as she handed him the mission report. It was a complete success, Hokage-sama. I believe you remember our deal. Anko asked, and Serbi nodded. But then she noticed Kurani glaring at her, and Anko sheepishly chuckled while rubbing the back of her head. Hi NC Han. I can explain, Anko said while Kurana rubbed the bridge of her nose and waved Anko off. She had more important things to worry about than that at the moment. So, she let it go for now. Don't bother Anko. Congratulations on your mission, Naruto-kun, Kurani said with a smile, and Naruto chuckled as he rubbed the back of his head. Thank you, Ka-chan. But Gigi, why did you call us? Na asked as before he saw the wreckage. Simui, Karui, and Omoi staring at them. Hinata and Shikamaru looked at them also with confused expressions on their faces. Well, Naruto-kun, before we get to that, I'd like you to meet the wreckage of Kumo along with his associates, Simui, Omoi, and Karui, Serbi said, and Naruto bowed to them all before paying some attention to Simui personally. The two glared at each other, and Simui did her best cold glare at the blonde, and Naruto narrowed his eyes. He glared at Simui coldly, also making everyone wonder what the two were thinking, staring at each other. Soon they both broke the glares from each other, and unknown to the other, they both mentally smirked. He might not be so bad. He's kind of cool, Simui thought while Na rubbed his head while he went back to that glare. She's good. She definitely has Ka-chan's glare if nothing else. Na thought, but then he was brought out of his stupor while Serbi and A clapped their hands. Rakage Dono, I'd like you to meet Naruto Yuki. Our top graduating genin, Hisan told him, and raised an eyebrow Yuki. He wondered for a split second but quickly grinned as he looked over the blonde. He eyed him from head to toe and could tell that he looked talented for his age. Nice to meet Yuaki-san. Please, snorts, meet our top gen and Simui. Said as the next blonde bowed to him also. Naruto bowed to her before he turned to his Hokage in confusion. Gi, what's this all about? Is something going on? Na asked, and the Hokage took a puff of his smoke. He sighed while Kurenai looked at the ground. Samui and the rest were confused. Na should have known about already. It was a wonder that he didn't, but Serbi was about to explain, so they all stayed quiet. Naruto-kun. A few days ago, Konoha received a note from Kumo. They had agreed to a treaty with Konoha after an incident that happened with the Hyuga compound. Serbi paused as he looked at Hinata slightly, and the Hyuga slightly lowered her gaze before the Hokage continued. Anyways, Konoha agreed to the treaty, but it was only by political marriage of our top genin with their top genin. Na, as of now, you are engaged to Simui-san. Serbi paused while Naruto widened his eyes. Hinata gasped while Shikamaru widened his eyes also. Enko narrowed her eyes and looked between Naruto and Simui. Wait, why weren't we told about this? Anko asked, and Sirobi rubbed the top of his head. It's because you and your squad left before we could get to you. So, I decided to wait before telling you. Hai replied, and Naruto remained silent. Kyoko watched the exchange between everyone, and even she was surprised. She'd never seen a political marriage, only heard about them. This was quite a shock to her. She looked at Naruto's shocked face and could tell that this was one of those things that really surprised him, as he didn't seem like the type who was surprised by much. I understand that this must be a shock for Yumaki-san, but please accept our offer, I said to him. In Naruto's hair shadowed his eyes. He looked at the ground, and Kurani wanted to say something, but she felt the words leave her mouth. She, as his mother, wanted to tell him it was his choice, but her shinobi side said that doing so wasn't the best of ideas. Everyone in the room stayed silent for a bit, and before Simui walked forward and placed her hand on his shoulder. Usuzumaki-san, but I'm fine with it. I really don't know anything about you, but I believe it's cool to meet you and get to know you. I hope you'll feel the same, Simui said, and Naruto stayed silent for a minute. After what seemed like an eternity to everyone else, Naruto finally sighed and scratched the back of his head. Never thought this could happen to me, but all right, Na said, which confused everyone before the blonde turned around and faced his fiancé. The blonde rubbed the back of his head before he gave a sheepish grin. Well, Simui-chan, I don't know how this is going to go either, but if you're all right with me, then I don't mind. I hope to get to know you better also, Naruto said. Head. And Simui gave a very small smile and nodded while some people sighed, not knowing that they were holding their breath the entire time. So, what do you think of him? Karui Omoi asked, and the dark-skinned Kunoiki looked at him from eye to toe, just like her wreckage. At least he doesn't seem to be an idiot, Karui said. And Omoi sighed. His teammate could be such a stickler at times, but he knew she was just looking out for Simui, even if he wondered if the blonde Kunoiki needed that. Seeing everyone calm down, Kurenai approached her son and patted him on the shoulder. She always trusted Naruto's judgment at times and just wanted his confirmation. Naruto-kun, are you sure? This is a big step you're taking, Kurani warned him. But Na gave her a simple look and smile as he hugged her, surprising the Genjutsu mistress. It's all right, Ka-chan. I can handle it, Na said. And Kurina merely nodded and got back to her feet. Sarutobi smiled and so did but now it was time to get back to some business. Well, it's good that they both agree so that we have no problems. But now on to my conditions, I said, and Serbi nodded while Naruto, Shikamaru, Hinata and Anko wondered what he meant by conditions. Hayako raised an eyebrow but stayed silent. She'd speak when she had the opportunity to do so. Conditions. What conditions? Enko asked and folded his arms. He could tell he was going to make someone unhappy, but he needed his own confirmation as well. It's only one condition actually, but that's beside the point, I said, and everyone paid attention. Karui snickered and wondered what Naruto's reaction would be to the condition. Simply put, I just want to make sure that Naruto-san is as good as you claim him to be. I'd like to propose that if his sensei finds it a good idea that he should participate in the Chunin exams, he must make it to the final round of this tournament along with other competitors. It's with this that I can see what he's made of. I want to tell you that I'm not belittling his skills as a shinobi, but I just want to make sure that this is a wise choice to go along with, I said to everyone. Sarutobi nodded and turned to Na. Na-kun, do you accept this condition? The Sandame asked and the blonde put a finger to his chin. Soon he looked down and saw Makata slither out of his jacket. USS should take it, Naruto-sama. It'll be a good challenge for you. Makata spoke and Na nodded. He grinned and turned to his teammates. What do you guys think? Na asked, making Hinata and Shikamaru look at each other. They both lightly smiled before turning back to Na. Well, I doubt we'll even be your team in the coming months. But if we are, then I'm good with it. Even if it is troublesome, Shikamaru said, confusing A and the genin with him. What do you mean if you guys are squad right? Kui asked, wanting to clear up the confusion as Naruto decided to respond to her question. That's right, but apparently Gigi told the Jonin that he's putting us all together to increase our teamwork skills. He thinks it will lead to more mission success for the village in the long run. Naruto replied and Karui nodded. So Anko, do you agree with this condition? Serbi asked her as she was the sensei. Enko's face beamed with a full smile and she nodded. Oh yeah, I'll train 'em all real well for the Chunin exams. You can count on me, Enko said while Serbi turned to the wreckage. You do realize that I expect the same thing of Simui-sanj, just to be fair. The old Hokage returned, making sure that it held up the same type of bargain to which he did with a sure nod. Of course, I expected that, and Simui already told me that she agrees to the conditions also. I replied and Serbi nodded. Very well then, I hope to see you around. Serbi said to him and nodded. But then he decided to ask for something else. Oh, by the way, Sarutobi, we're going to be here for a few weeks. So, may I suggest that twice every week that Naruto and Simui train together to help them get used to each other? I suggested and Serbi nodded. He completely agreed with that action. Na and Simui glanced at each other for a few seconds before they tore their gazes away as Naruto watched Simui and her team leave the room along with their wreckage. Well, now that that's over with, would you mind telling me who this is? Serbi asked, staring at Kyoko, who simply smiled as she stood to her feet. I thought all Kage knew the people in their bingo books, Kyoko said, and Serbi raised an eyebrow at her will. Naruto explained. Gigi, this is Kyoko Fura, an A-rank missing nin from Kiri. We convinced her to come to Konoha with us, Naruto said, and that news was almost enough to make Serbi almost fall out of his chair, making the others chuckle at him. Satobi straightened up and coughed, getting his composure back. I see. Well, that is some news to me. Tell me, why do you want to join Konoha? Sarutobi asked, and Kyoko looked at Naruto. The blonde smiled with a nod while Kyoko sighed. She rubbed the back of her head before she finally spoke. I'd rather not be a criminal and chased by Hunter Nin for the rest of my life. The brat right here seems to think that I might do some good in Konoha. I want to see where that takes me. I can offer you my services if that's what you'd like, Kyoko said, and Serbi nodded. Well, it's not every day that I meet an ex-swordsman of Kiri. I suppose I can find a job for you. Well, it's not like I couldn't. Given your missing nin rank, I have almost no choice but to make you a jonin. And I have your first mission for you. On the days that Naruto and Simui train together, I want you to be their teacher also. It'll help me stall till I can find out where you belong, Serbi told her. And Kyoko nodded. The Sandaime went into his drawer and pulled out a small piece of paper. Just fill that out for me and return it to me tomorrow. I can set you up with a house in a few minutes, and here is your headband and vest. The Hokage told her, and Kyoko looked at the vest. She slightly frowned as she figured that the vest wasn't a good combination with her hair, but she heard about jonin who didn't wear their vests, so she figured that she'd do that also. Very well, Hokage-sama. I'll return this to you tomorrow. See you later, brat. Hai said, walking out of the room, and she closed the door. Naruto chuckled while Serbi brought everyone's attention back to him. Job well done, teammate. Your pay will be given to over the week. It seems you were right about them, Anko. They really do know how to handle themselves. Hina almost reminds me of Sasaki, Serbi said, and the blonde raised an eyebrow. How do I remind you of that temp? Na asked. And Shirobi closed his eyes with a small chuckle. Well, when Sasaki learned that you went on a C rank mission already, he went ballistic and told us that he wanted one also. Kakashi tried to stop him, but we relented and let him go on one. He left about a day ago, Serbi said, and Naruto secretly grinned. That the temp for Ya? Well, I'm not losing to him, Na said mentally before Serbi dismissed them all from the office. Everyone walked the streets of Konoha as they all felt more refreshed from the meeting. So, what's everyone going to do now? Naruto asked while Shikamaru yawned. I'm going home and hitting my bed. I've got no more reasons to be awake. See y'all later, Shikamaru said as he walked off, waving goodbye to his friends, making Naruto and the others chuckle at him. I am going back home. I have some things to do. Bye, Naruto, Hinata said as she walked off, also leaving Naruto, Enko, and Kurenai in the streets. Well, I've got to do the mission report so that I can turn it into Hokage-sama. See you tomorrow, Naruto-kun, if you're not too busy with your girlfriend, Enko, as she walked away, making Naruto blush. Want to go home, Ka-chan? Naruto asked, and Kurenai ruffled his hair while she smiled. She quickly nodded as they walked back home. Along the way there, both Kurani and Naruto could feel the obvious stares on them both. Stares of perversion for Kurani and stares of hate for Naruto, which the two of them glared coldly at everyone, making most people gulp and turn their heads to avoid the Ice Queen and what some people called the Ice Fox. You've gotten better with your glare, Naruto-kun, Kurenai said, and Naruto narrowed his eyes at one man, making him gulp and sweat in bullets. Anyone who stares at my Ka-chan like this deserves a stare. Besides, you taught me how to use it, Na said, and Kurenai nodded. The two climbed the stairs of their apartment and Na opened the door. Kurenai turned on the lights to their place and the two sighed as they rested on the couch. So, how was your Genin team? Na asked, and Kurenai sighed. They should teach more stuff at the academy. It's good that they passed, but they still have a lot to improve on. I can only hope that they do well, Kurenai said, and Naruto chuckled. Hey, you taught me with my high chakra reserves how to do some great genjutsu. I think you'll be fine with a Genin team, Naruto said, and Kurenai snorted. She did see the small logic in that, is it took quite a while to get Naruto to have excellent chakra control to project genjutsu, but she felt so happy when he was able to do it. It brought a lot of joy to her heart that Kurenai could teach her son genjutsu. I suppose you're right. Well, we're free, so anything you want to do? Kurenai asked, and Naruto thought it over. He didn't really have anything planned. Well, I guess we can go for a walk if you have the time, Naruto said. And Kurenai was about to agree to it before she heard a knock at the door. The red-eyed Jonin quickly opened the door and saw Hana wave to her. Hana, What are you doing here? Kurani asked as Hana grinned. Yua and I scored some free dango meal tickets. Wanna to come? We were just about to go invite Anko, Hana said, but Kurani shook her head. Thanks, but I was just about to spend some time with my son. I might go another time, she said. But Narat patted her shoulder. It's all right, Ka-chan. Well, just go another time. Go have some fun, Na told her, and Kurenai reluctantly nodded. She quickly changed her clothes and followed Hana out past the door. Naruto sighed as he headed for his room. The blonde opened the door and laid on his bed. He unzipped his jacket and watched Makata slither out. Are you okay, Narat-sama? She asked, and the blonde nodded. He quickly sat up and softly petted Mata from her head to her tail. I'm fine, just bored. I guess I'll go back and walk around the village. Are you going to stay here? Na asked, and Mata nodded. She forked her tongue and slithered across the floor. There is a moose here. I can smell him. Time to hunt. See on Narat-sama, Makata said as she slithered away while Naruto got changed. He put on a blue sleeves shirt and some black pants. He quickly walked out of the house and entered back into the streets of his village. Na sighed as he looked around at the people conversing. He had nothing to do really, so he was mostly bored. He could train, but he'd be training with Simui tomorrow, so he figured that he could use this as a day off. Let's see what can I do. Narat wondered until he decided to see if anyone was at the training grounds. The blonde quickly went to the rooftops and dashed for the training grounds. He'd head for the forest of death, but he knew no one would be there. So, on that note, the blonde quickly ran off, leaving no one to recognize his presence. Random training ground. Na jumped to the ground and looked around. He saw no one there inside. Oh well, I guess I have this place to myself, Narat said as he laid near a tree. He quickly looked up at the sky, and soon he found why Shikamaru liked to have a view like this. It was great. The trees were swaying, and the blonde easily fell asleep, enjoying the serenity of the forest. Na yawned as he opened his eyes. He looked up to see that the sun was going down and wondered how long he had been up. The blonde leaned up and rubbed his head. Ah. How long was I asleep? Na asked himself, but then he was surprised by a response. Maybe longer than an hour. You shouldn't leave yourself exposed like that. It's not cool, someone said as Narat looked up into the tree. He raised an eyebrow when he saw Simui reading a book. As that's so well, other than you, there seems to be no one else here. Na returned to his fiancée, and Simui kept her expression impassive. If I was an enemy, I might have killed you, Simui said, and Narat chuckled while he sat down under the tree again. I didn't know my fiancé was supposed to kill me, Na replied to her comment and Simui's eyebrows slightly twitched. If you're so easygoing, then you'll end up dead one day. It's not cool to be too relaxed, she said, and Na shrugged his shoulders. Well, maybe I was pretending to sleep when you found me. Consider that, Na asked her, and the blonde Kunoiki stayed silent for a few moments before turning to him. I did not. Maybe you're right. So, were you pretend sleeping? Simui asked him and Narat gave a simple shrug again as he walked into the field. Nah, but I could have been. So, what are you doing out here? The blonde asked and Simui placed her book from her face. Enjoying the quiet. What are you doing here? Simui asked and Na quickly stopped in the middle of the field. Resting after my mission. God. Nothing better to do. Dad Bio Na said before he moved to the side to dodge a kanai. It'd be cool if you trained. We are meeting together tomorrow in case you forgot. Simui told him and Narat chuckled as he took the kanai and twirled it in his hands. I know it's tomorrow. How about I train and you give me a smile? You haven't smiled once since I saw you a few hours ago. Naro told her and Simui rolled her eyes. You're weird. You know that Uzumaki-san? Simui asked and Naruto chuckled. Na is fine, Simui-chan. And besides, it's Yui Uzumaki. Na told her, and Simui merely nodded as if going with what he said. I see. Well, at least you're not how I figured you might be, she said. And Na raised an eyebrow as he threw her cane back at her. Oh. And how did you figure I might be? Na asked while Simui put her book away and jumped to the ground. Na watched her come down easily while she advanced towards him. Didn't really have much of an opinion, but let's just say that with Karu's imagination, I was slightly worried to meet you. No offense to you, Simui said impassively, and Naruto agreed with her. None taken, Simui. Mind it without an honorific? He asked, and she nodded that it was fine, as she didn't really care much for the honorifics either. Simui is cool, I guess. Just figured I should get to know you a little before we train tomorrow, Simui told him, and Naruto nodded. I see. Well, that's always nice to hear. So, what do you want to know about me? Na asked, and Simui shrugged her shoulders. Nothing comes to mind yet. It'll be cool if you told me how you train, Simui said. And Naruto chuckled before he turned to her. Well, I could tell you that, but I hardly know you also. Can I ask you a question then? Na asked, and Simui nodded. The blonde smirked and looked at the sky. What's your last name? You answer me that and I'll answer yours, Naruto said, and Simui's gaze grew cold. Na narrowed his eyes and he gave his best cold glare also. The two stared at each other for a bit while their blue eyes collided against each other. They soon stopped and Simui sighed. I don't have a last name. I never knew my parents. I only have my brother Archoi. Simui responded and Naruto nodded. He sighed as he wondered if he brought back a bad memory. Oh. Sorry about that. I didn't know you had that type of past, Naruto said. And Simui shrugged her shoulders. It's cool. I've mostly got over it, Simui said to him. And Na nodded. I didn't know my parents either. No one really tells me about them, Naruto said while Simui raised an eyebrow. If I recall correctly, then you called the Genjutsu mistress Ka-chan. Kuren-san, isn't she your mother? Simui asked and Naruto rubbed the back of his head. Adoptive mother, but yeah, I love her and she's taught me a lot as if I was her own son. So, I took on her last name and added it to my name, Naruto said with a gentle smile as he sat down under a tree. Simui remained standing looking at her future husband. I see. Well, that's cool, Simui said, feeling some small amount of respect for Naruto coming around. Oh. And to answer your question, I mostly train to be an all-rounded shinobi, but I prefer genjutsu above the others, Na said, and Simui nodded. Well, all right. It looks like it's getting late. I guess I'd better go unless you have any more questions. Simui asked, and Na turned to see the moon going down. He shook his head as he stood to his feet. He quickly dusted himself off and walked over to Simui. He held out his hand, making the Kumnin look at him strangely. We never really introduced ourselves to each other, right? Well, I'd like to do that now. Just think of it as a small step to getting to know my fiancé, DBO, Naruto said, grinning. And Simui looked at his hand for a bit. She gave a hidden smile, but shook his hand. I'm Naruto Yuki. It's nice to meet you, Simui, Na said to her, and Simui nodded. I'm Simui from Kumo. It's nice to meet you, Na, Simui told him, and the blonde chuckled as he let go. The two began to walk back to the village while Simui seemed to be in deep thought. Something bothering you? Na asked and Simui turned to him. The way you talk that dad Bio. What's up with it? Simui asked and Na sheepishly chuckled in embarrassment. Ka-chan calls it a verbal tic. It's something I've always said without meaning to. And what about you saying cool a lot? Na asked as he knew it had to do with her name in a way. Simui coughed in her hand out of simple embarrassment. It's nothing. It's just a cool word. I like it, Simui said. And Naruto chuckled, which got her confused. What's funny? Is it something I said? She asked, and Naruto held his hands in defense. No, Simui-chan. It's just that you're interesting and a lot more mature than some of the people I hang out with. Naruto responded, and Simui seemed to accepted that. Is that a compliment? She asked and the blonde male Gingari quickly nodded that it was, which made Simui's mood lighten a bit. Yeah, it was. So, how do you like Konoha? He asked and quickly Simui's expression went back to being impassive. It's a nice village. I haven't had the opportunity to come here, so it'll be a new experience. Simui answered and Na nodded. It was then that they entered the village and immediately Naruto's stomach grumbled while he blushed in embarrassment. Also against her wishes, Simui let out a small smile. I guess I'll go and let you eat, Simui said. But then Na grabbed her arm. Oh. Come on and eat with me. You've got nothing better to do, so let's go. Na told her as he dragged Simui to his favorite place. Simui had never been manhandled before, so this was kind of new to her, to his favorite stand. After a bit of walking, Naruto opened the curtain while Simui followed inside. It wasn't her intention to be out this long, but somehow she stayed while Naruto sat on a seat and Simui sat next to him. Hey, Chuki Ojasan, mind getting me and Simui some ramen? I'll take one, miso. How about you, Simui-chan? Na asked, and the blonde girl sighed. She wasn't much on eating such things. Not that they had ramen in Kumo. Or maybe they did, and she just didn't know about it nor taste it. I guess some shrimp ramen is okay, Simui said. And Tuki nodded. One miso and one shrimp. You got it, he said while Naruto looked around. Where's a Yame-en? Na asked as Tuki began to do his work. She's gone to the bank. She won't be back for a while, Tuki said, and Na shrugged his shoulders. Soon Tuki poured their bowls and Na handed Simui her chopsticks. Simui looked at Na with a glare while the blonde simply smiled. The blonde girl sighed and took the chopsticks. She watched as Naruto dug into his food while looking down at her own. Na turned to her and gulped some of his noodles. Are you all right? Is it not good? Na asked, and Simui shook her head. No, I just don't eat food like this, but I'll try it, Simui said as she picked up the noodles and placed them in her mouth. She slightly widened her eyes before turning her head to see Naruto smiling at her. Simui raised an eyebrow at him, but knew why she was smiling. They were really good noodles. She couldn't deny that fact. Granted, they were the only noodles she'd ever had, but they were still good. I take it you like them? Na asked, and Simui looked back at the still full bowl of noodles. They're cool, I guess. Yeah, they're quite good, Simui said. And Na finished his bowl. Simui took a little longer, but she finished also. Na paid Tuki, and the two left. All right, Simui, I'll see you tomorrow at the training ground where we met last time. Naruto told Awa, and Simui nodded. She slowly waved goodbye to him as the two walked in separate directions. Unknown to the two, there were 5 shadows watching them. Anakan just had his first date. I told you that girl was cute, Anko said while Hana and Kurenai came out of the shadows. I'd rather not interfere with my son's life. Anko, why are we even here? Kurenai asked, and Anko grinned as she smiled. Are you kidding, NC Han? Those two were made for each other, even if that Simui is slightly more serious than someone would like, Anko said while Hana chuckled. So Naruto's got a fiancé. Never saw it coming. That is going to spread like wildfire in the next few days, Hana said. And Kurenai could agree with that. Well, Simui Uzumaki sounds like a nice name. Or maybe it's Simui Yuiaki. Who knows how something like that goes, Anko said, and Kurenai slightly snorted. If only Yuga could enjoy this view with us, Hana said before 2 other people joined. See, Karui, I told you there was nothing to worry about. Man, you're so protective. I wonder if you're trying to be Simui's mother or something, Omoi said, which earned him a smack on his head. Shut up, Omoi, but I guess you're right. He's at least not an idiot. Heck, it's an accomplishment that he got Simui to even eat with him. She never wants to eat with us, Karui pouted while Omoi chuckled. Maybe she doesn't want to be around your loud mouth that could cause an avalanche, Omoi replied while Karui merely growled before the two vanished out of sight. Looks like we're not the only ones who were interested in this new relationship. How nice, Enko said as the 3 shined out of sight also. Somehow, Kerr and I managed to beat Naruto home. And when the blonde opened the door, he saw Kurenai sitting on the couch reading while she was humming. Oka-chan, you're back. How was it with Anko-ne and Hana-chan? Naruto asked, and Kurenai turned around. It was nice, Naruto-kun. Where were you? Kurenai asked with a small snicker while Na raised an eyebrow at her. I was out for a bit. Nothing to worry about, Ka-chan. See-ya, Na said as he went to his room while Kurenai sighed. But that didn't last long as Naruto opened the door. Oh, and Ka-chan, if you Ankun and Hana-chan are going to spy on me, then please use a higher genjutsu cause I dispelled that rather easily, Naruto said as he closed the door, leaving Kurenai with her eyes widened at the thought that Naruto had caught her without her knowing. She didn't know whether to be proud or scared of that. I wonder if I trained him too well, Kurenai thought before getting to her feet and walking towards our room. Na turned on the lights in his room as he saw Mikata curled into the usual ball she was in. The blonde raised an eyebrow before he sat on the bed, and the vibrations made Makata stir as she uncurled. Naro-sama, when did you get home? She asked as Na put on his night clothes. Just now, Makata-chan, we've got a busy day tomorrow, so let's get some sleep. Did you find your mouse? Na asked, and Makata forked her tongue. Yep. And HSSS settling peacefully in my SSS stomach, Makata said, making Naruto shiver slightly. He turned out the light and quickly went to sleep while he looked at the ceiling. Simui-chan really is interesting, Naruto said in thought as the sleep claimed him, and he went to bed. Next morning, Na entered the training grounds as he rubbed the back of his head. He hoped he wasn't late, as they didn't really decide on a time for them to begin. He didn't even know why he and Simui were having this little training thing. If they were going to be something, then it should be natural. But who was Na to go against 2Kage and their wishes? Oh. He'd really liked her at the moment. Na continued to walk through the training ground until he saw Simui leaning against a tree with her arms crossed and her eyes closed. I see you came here early also, Naruto said as Simui settled with a small nod. She opened her eyes and saw Naru looking around. So, I take it that Gigi told Yuki-chan would be training us? Naruto asked and again Simui nodded again like it was a common thing. Na sighed as he rubbed the back of his head. He sat down and leaned next to a tree across from Simui and soon a fog rolled in. The two opened their eyes and saw a small figure arrive. It bigger and bigger before Kyoko came into view with her mask on. So, my first mission is training you too, huh? Fine. Let's get this started. Kyoko said as she took out her sword. Na tensed and Simui narrowed her eyes. Unlike your softcore John and I won't hold back. Granted, I won't kill you both, but you'll be in for a world of hurt. Think you can beat me? Kyoko asked, and Na stood to his feet. You mean other than the C-rank genjutsu I used on you, right? Na asked, and Kyoko slightly grumbled behind her mask before she gave a devious smirk. Simui wondered what Naruto meant by that before Kyoko spoke. All right, brat, then first rule. No genjutsu, any use of it, and you two will be running laps around this training field till you drop, Kyoko said with a smirk, and Naruto gulped. Simui grabbed the tanto on her back, and Naruto grabbed his kodaki. Here I come, BRZ. Try keep up with me, Kyoko said as she vanished in the mist. Naruto and Simui sighed as their training together began and they were already mentally regretting it. And that's training you too. Good work, Kyoko said to a slashed up Simui and a bruised Na. The two were huffing like mad as they saw Kyoko smiling at them with a grin on her face. Both glared at her before Na stood to his feet. He walked over to Simui and held out his hand. The blonde looked at it before grabbing it as Naruto pulled her to her feet. Thanks, she said while Naruto smiled. No problem, he responded as he saw the state of her being. She really looked a little worse for wear, and that was probably an understatement. The same could be said of Simui as she saw the cuts across Naruto's body. You look like you got sent through a shredder, Naruto told her while Simui looked down at her clothes. She slightly rolled her eyes at his statement while she pointed at him. You're not one to talk. She returned and Na looked at his clothes. He really didn't look any better, and that made the blonde blush in embarrassment with a slight nod. I suppose you're right. Hey, Kyoko. Na paused when he saw that he and Simui were the only ones in the field. She must have left while they were talking. Simui saw they were alone also before Naruto narrowed his eyes. I hate it when she does that, Na said, which caused Simui to shrug her shoulder in response. I'm sure she's got something to do. That is why she left, Simui said with a small sigh. Na noticed it and scratched his cheek. Are you all right? He asked, and Simui looked at the forested areas. They would be her home soon. They'd be where she was training, spending practices, and planning missions. They were so different from the mountainous Kumo. I'm fine. Well, Naran, I'll see you later. Stay cool, she said, walking off. And Naruto could feel the lack of enthusiasm in her voice. He narrowed his eyes before he left the field. Also, streets. Na walked the streets of Konoha as he was alone. His team had no missions due to his and Simui's training together. He'd have one tomorrow. He knew that much for sure. But he also wondered how his friends would react when they found out that he was going to get married. That would be the shocker of a lifetime for them all. Now that he thought about how would Simui react when she learned that he was a Jinchuriki. He'd rather not be rejected just for that. He could only hope that she wasn't like other people. Great. That's one thing in my head that I didn't need. Naruto thought to himself before he saw people running towards him. He squinted his eyes before he gulped. He saw all his friends charging at him and the blonde was about to run before he was immediately caught in a shadow possession by Shikamaru. You traitor! Na yelled. While Shikamaru rubbed the back of his head with a small sigh, Ka grabbed Naruto's collar while he moved in front of his face. Is it true, man? Are you really engaged to someone from Kumo? Ka asked while Sasaki, Ino, Sakura, Shoji, and oddly enough, Shino wanted to know also. Naruto rubbed the back of his head before he nodded, making everyone gasp as Ka dropped Naruto to the ground. They all seemed surprised and shocked or at the very least confused. Why would Kumo do a political marriage to Na? Normally, you do it to the last of a clan to help with restoration. Sakura said while Ino smacked her over the head, making the pink-haired girl growl. Damn it, Ino. Baka, what was that for? She asked while Ino glared at her. Shut up, forehead. If they want to do a political marriage to one of our shinobi, then why should they? Ino asked and Naruto raised an eyebrow while Sasaki sighed since the two were the ruling guys who had the most fangirls, which was oddly enough even right down the middle. They were called by the girl, the two male academy students. It was weird to try and get used to that, but it was the way things went. So, you're tied to the ball and chain already, huh? Shoji asked while Na narrowed his eyes. He got to his feet and glared at the chubby shinobi, making everyone gulp underneath his gaze. Don't talk about Simui-chan that way ever again. Naruto told him and Choji immediately nodded with a sorrier. Na softened as he walked off with his hands in his pockets. Sensitive much? Sakura asked while Ino shrugged her shoulders. How would you feel if someone insult the person you were supposed to marry? The blonde asked, and everyone nodded in agreement with her about that. No one wanted their future spouse, no matter who it was, to be insulted. So Sasuke couldn't tell everyone how you defeated that ice user during RC rank mission. Sakura said and Sasuke closed his eyes. It was a C rank mission to help a bridge builder. That ice user's name was Haku and we fought an A- rank missing nin called Zabuza. Kakashi sensei was able to match him while me and Ka were able to work together to take down Haku. Sakura stood guard over the bridge builder. I think his name was Zuna. They were able to finish the bridge and so it was called the Great Wave Bridge. Kind of a weird name, but at least we completed our mission. Sasuke said to everyone while Ka grinned. If it wasn't for our teamwork that we got down during Kakashi sensei's exercise, then we'd be dead. I thought Uchiha was supposed to be arrogant, but Sasaki and Makoto-san are the good ones, Ka said while Sasaki closed his eyes. I might be strong, but I can't take on everyone by myself. It's important to be realistic, Sasuke said while Sakura blushed. Then Sasaki, how about a date? Sakura asked and Sasaki rolled his eyes before walking off. I just said it's important to be realistic, Sasaki said as he disappeared while Sakura pouted. Ka chuckled at her before he walked off along with Shino, Choji, and Shikamaru. Ino and Sakura were left alone in the streets while the blonde turned to the pink kunoichi. Want to go see what Hinata is doing? Ino asked and Sakura shrugged her shoulders before walking off in the direction of the Hyuga compound with Na. The blonde walked around the village for a bit as he rubbed the back of his head. He didn't mean to snap at Choji the way he did, but he'd rather not have people making fun of others without knowing them. It just irked him for some reason. Maybe it's because of how his life was treated. As the blonde walked the streets of Konoha, he soon heard a Kia. As he pulled, the blonde gulped as he turned around. He saw a multitude of fangirl with a banner and picture of Naruto in his shinobi attire along with what he thought was Makata wrapped around his neck. Na-sama. They all yelled while the blonde stepped back. Immediately, the girls charged at the blonde cursed as he ran away. The civilians watched the chaos, and while some didn't want to, they laughed at the blonde's misfortune. Kuso, who made fangirls anyway? Naruto wondered as he hopped to the rooftops. He huffed before he saw some of them hop up also. He cursed when he slightly forgot that he was also dealing with graduating kunoichi from the academy. The blonde quickly jumped off the building and hit the streets again. Man, they're persistent. How do I get out of here? Na wondered as he felt someone grab his arm as he was pulled into an alleyway. The blonde looked as the girls flew by. And when they were gone, he sighed in relief. Thanks, I owe you, Naruto said as the person, or rather people. He saw Omoi and Karui leaning against the walls. You can owe us by not marrying Samui, Karui said with a glare that Naruto noticed. He narrowed his eyes back at her glare while Omoi rolled his eyes as he slightly pushed Karui out of the way. Sorry about her, Naran. She's just moody from time to time. She hates political marriages in general, not really the people involved. Omoi told him and Naruto nodded. Even if it was hesitant, while Simui stomped her foot on the ground. Why do things like this even exist? It's all a load of crap, Karui said more to herself than to them as Naruto got to his feet. Yeah. I never thought I'd be in one. But Simui is really interesting. She acts cold, but she's really caring. I can tell from the way she fights. She was really able to back me up all the way, Naruto said while Karui and Omoi stared at him. That's Simui. She's always been like that since the first time we've met her. She's always had our back. We know that. Well, I see nothing wrong with you, Naran. So, I hope you make her happy, Omoi told him. And Na nodded with a small smile while Karui rolled her eyes. Don't worry, I'll do my best to make her happy, Naruto told them, making Omoi nodded as he dragged Karui out of the alleyway. Naruto felt the alley also, but he did it with more caution as he looked left and right. He quickly stepped out and hopped to the rooftops back home to his mother's apartment. With Simui laid on her bed with her eyes closed as she contemplated everything. She wondered what marriage would be like. She'd seen plenty of couples in Kumo, and few of them were married. She even remembered getting unwanted advice on marriage, which she didn't think that she'd need for a long time. Boy, was she wrong. It'd be a lie if Simui said that she wasn't nervous about the whole thing. She was, but she could hide it pretty well. From what she saw, Naruto was an all-right person. He could be cheery at one time and dead serious the next. He was interesting to her at the least. His fighting was superb in her opinion. He could cover all areas of combat from long range to close range. She could at least say that if she was going to be married, then Naruto was a nice choice. Soon there was a knock on her door which broke Samui from her observation of Naruto as she sat upright on the bed. Come in, she said, and immediately Karui and Omoi came through the door. They sat in a chair and leaned against the wall. In my opinion, Simui, he's all right. I think he could lighten your cold mood, Omoi told her. And Simui casted a small glare at her teammate, making him shudder. Someone has to be the cool one in this group, she said while Karu's eyebrow twitched as she rocked in her chair. What's that supposed to mean? She asked, and Simui gave a small unnoticeable smile. I'm saying that you two are too hot-headed at times, so that's why I shouldn't be like that, the blonde responded. And Karui growled while Omoi rubbed his head. He rummaged through his pockets and pulled out a lollipop. He let it settle in his mouth for a small while. Well, I think he's all right. What about you, Karui? Omoi asked, and the redhead scratched the back of her head. She looked away from their views while she gave her opinion. I still think this is stupid, but Omoi is right. He's something, I guess. I don't have a real opinion, even though he makes me irritated, Karui said while Omoi rolled his eyes. You're always irritated. It makes no difference who it is, Omoi said before Karui punched him over the head. Simui sighed at her two teammates as she looked out the window at the village. She slowly sighed as she wondered what the future held for her with Na. The blonde opened the door to the apartment and saw a note on the fridge door. He quickly took it down and looked at it. Na, hey Narokan, I've got a mission with some of the other Jonin. So I won't be back for some time. Maybe about 2 days or 3. Enko is probably the only one left behind. Stay safe for me. There are leftovers from last night's dinner inside. Heat it up and eat if you'd like. See you soon. Your mother, Kurenai Yuhi. Na sighed as he opened the fridge. He took out a small glass and some milk. He poured it and quickly drank it. Na bit his thumb as he slammed the ground. Kuyo's no jutsu. Na yelled as there was a small puff. He saw a medium-sized black-colored python as it stood on its stomach. Hello Na-sama, is it that time already? The python asked and Na nodded. He unzipped his jacket and Makata slithered out. She forked her tongue before turning around. I'll miss you, Na-sama, Makata told him. Na knelt down with a small smile and nod. He softly petted Marta before he pulled back and watched her slither over to the python. Get ready, girl. We're leaving, he said to her, and Makata nodded. She slithered to the seal and they both puffed out of sight in a reverse summon. As Naruto's familiar Maka would need training back at the home for the snakes. She'd be gone for a good little while, but that was all right. Na knew he would miss her, but she was doing all this for his sake. Be careful, Makata-chan, Na said to himself as he stared at the open space. He sighed as he didn't really have anything to do for the moment. He then heard a knock at the door and quickly opened it. He saw Anko and Kyoko right behind the door. The blonde raised an eyebrow at their presence as he wondered what they wanted. Kyoko-chan, Enko-ne, what are you guys doing here? Na asked and the two smiled. We're going to a special place. Come with us, they said. And before Na could say no, they dragged him out of the door and were sure to close it after they left. Wait, Ankun, where are we going? Na asked as he was dragged back into the streets. Na had never been manhandled by women before. It was a weird experience for the blonde as they took him through a corner. We're heading to a nice little place, a place that the Rackage set up for us. Simui will there, Anko said while Naruto sighed. It felt like they were rushing this. The blonde figured he had enough time to get to know Simui and it's not like he had to be with her every day. Who knows how these people thought. It was staggering to the blonde. Enko and Kyoko stopped in front of a door and knocked on it. The door immediately opened, showing a small little cafe. Naruto tried to sneak away, but Kyoko grabbed him and sat him down in a chair. He saw Simui across from the table while he sighed. I take it you were forced here also? Na asked, and Simui closed her eyes with an irritated nod in agreement. The blonde rubbed the back of his head. Sorry about this. I don't want you to feel uncomfortable at all. We can go if you want, Naruto told her and Simui shook her head. She placed her elbows on the table while she looked out the window. It's all right, Naran. In truth, I did want to see you again. If only not in the same day since we spent all morning and early afternoon together. I know it's not your fault. I'm not used to relationships, so this is a new experience for the both of us, Simui said. And Naruto could agree to that. He'd never been in any relationships due to his fangirls. So, what are we supposed to do here? I mean, the others left like so fast. So, what should we do? Na asked, and soon a cup was set in front of Simui. It appeared to be coffee, but the way she looked at it, maybe it wasn't what she thought she'd expect. Something wrong with the coffee? He asked, and Simui gently chuckled. It's not coffee. It's a special blend of ingredients. It's something that they have in Kumo. I'm surprised that they sell it here, Simui said, taking a small sip while Naruto looked out the window. You really like Kumo, don't you? He asked as Simui placed her cup down. She silently nodded and Na didn't have to see it to know that she did. Of course, she loved it. Why wouldn't she? So, tell me, Simui-chan, do you have any dreams? Na asked her and Simui thought it over. She never really thought about her dreams before as she never really aspired for anything except to be a strong shinobi for her village. I never had one. I'm still thinking it over. How about you? She asked and Naruto slightly pointed towards the Hokage stone faces. Simui looked at them and the blonde smiled. My dream is to protect everyone in this village as the first Genjutsu Master Hokage. Naruto said to her and Simui raised an eyebrow. It was an odd dream and that wasn't like normal people. But then again, she could figure that Na wasn't normal. That's a nice dream for you to have. I can see why you would be like that, the blonde girl told the blonde boy, and Na thanked her for it. The two spent some time talking to each other since they both didn't have anything better to do. It was nice to get to know the other so there could be a sense of familiarity between them. As far as they knew, they weren't strangers anymore, but friends was a bit of a wall they hadn't come to yet. So, for now, they were acquaintances. Simui got up from her seat finally inside. Well, I'll see you later, Naran. It was nice talking to you, Simui told him and Na nodded. He got up and left also just as easy. Anko, Kyoko and aside as they closed their eyes. That could have gone better, don't you think? Kyoko asked and Anko nodded in agreement. Well, in any case, they know each other. Let's give them some space for now before they both explode in front of us. I said, making Enko and Kyoko agree. Well, we've got a mission tomorrow, so that works out well for us. Enko responded with a nicker while Kyoko rolled her eyes. Well, that's good for you, but I've got to be teaching BRZ about swords and the like. Sigh. I guess I'll head to the blacksmith to check out my sword. Damn that Brad did a number on it, Kyoko said as she sunshined away along with Anko and the next morning. So, what's the mission? And Hokage Samiko asked, and Sarutobi pulled out a scroll. He handed it to them and they all looked at it. This is a mission from the Land of Iron, more precisely the place where samurai dwell nowadays, Serbi said. Naruto grinned. That'd be the chance to get some good medals and upgrade his Kodaki if he could. He'd heard that the people who made weapons there were on par with the 7 swordsmen of the mist. Hai could attest to that as she said she'd been to the Land of Iron before. Hinata and Shikamaru noticed the gleam in Naruto's eyes, and so did Anko as Serbi continued. This mission is to retrieve metals from one of our suppliers. It's at least 5 to 6 days away. This material is important as it makes up the metal that Anbu use in their swords. If we lose this, then we'll have to wait for another 2 months for that metal, Serbi said, making Naruto's eyes shine even brighter while Shikamaru rubbed the back of his head. You're too happy about this mission. How troublesome, Shikamaru said. And Hinata could agree, but she didn't mind it so much as she liked that about Naruto. All right, Gaki, it's time for us to go then. Let's head out in 10 minutes. That's enough for you to get any extra things, Enko told them, and everyone nodded as they left the room. Na hopped back home to go and fetch his Kodaki. He'd be lucky if he could find a blacksmith to fix his sword. He also remembered Sinuous Tanto along with Karui and Omoi swords. Maybe he'd be able to grab some metal for them also. He doubted they would reforge them, but it was worth anything to try and make them all happy. Naruto opened the door to his house and quickly walked into his room. He noticed something on his dresser and looked at it. It was another note from Kurana. He wondered how he had never noticed that since last night. He quickly picked up the note and read it. Here is your allowance, son. Don't spend it all in one place. Naruto grinned as he took the money on his dresser and placed it in his wallet. It was a simple 3,000 yen, but that was all right to him. He was just happy to be paid. Not that he didn't already have money. He still had another 10,000 yen from his mission a few days ago. He was also just happy that they weren't doing any danks. They'd be switching sensei and teammates in a few more weeks, so he'd meet someone new. All right, now I can go, Naruto said to himself as he left the room. He also looked at the special shuriken he got from Sasaki on his birthday those years ago. It still made him smile, but he picked it up and brought it along also. Seeing that he had everything, Naruto left the room. He then realized that this would be his first mission without Makata by his side. The blonde narrowed his eyes as he sighed. He really missed her already. The way she always slithered around his body was a memorable thing to the blonde. Come on, Na, she'll be back, so just wait for that time, Na said as he left the apartment. He quickly met up with his team and they all left the village without any problems. So, Anko-sensei, is Anbu metal different from ours? Hinata asked, and the snake mistress chuckled as she turned around. She quickly took out a kanai and held it in front of Hinata. Yeah, they are. Anu are the village's elite, so they need elite medals. All our kanai, shuriken, and other supplies are the same, but Anbu get better materials for their clothes, armor, and swords. Their swords are made of special chakra responders that lock to the Anbu's unique chakra signature. They are the only ones who have such a thing, but the Land of Iron is abundant in such things. The ports are usually closed off, so we'll be walking there. We'll be lucky if we get any medal, Enko said while Shikamaru yawned. Please, with our luck, we'll probably run into an S-rank missing nin this time. Just like that, Kyoko-san, what a drag, Shikamaru said while Enko snaked her hand around Shikamaru's neck. No complaining, Gaki. Now then, let's head for the first rest point. Last one pays for everyone's dinner, Enko said as she shot off. Naruto ran after her while Hinata and Shikamaru sighed. They quickly ran after their sensei and teammate. Back in Konoha, Sarutobi was currently doing his paperwork as usual before he heard the door knob twist. He could feel the massive chakra signature behind the door and grinned as he saw a walk in. Had you been anyone else, you'd be executed for barging in, Serbi told him while he closed his eyes. He folded his arms while he glared at the old Hokage. I'm sure you would. But enough about that. I need to return to Kumo as I don't want to leave it alone for too long. I'd like to leave Simui, Omoi, and Karui here for a little while longer, at least 2 more weeks, then they can come back. Simui will participate in the Chunin exams in the coming months, as I'm sure Naruto-san will also, said, which made Serbi nod in agreement. I understand, but why the sudden urge? Aren't things going well back in Kumo? Hai wondered and nodded. They are great and normal. It's just that a cage should never be away from their village for too long. Responded, and Serbi could definitely agree with that. It wouldn't be wise for a cage to be gone or trouble would start to brew. Well, I'll send some ambu to escort you back. It's not wise to travel alone either. Take care, the Sandame said to the Yandere Rackage as I left the room while Serbi looked at the large stack of paperwork. Funny, I could have sworn that I had done more than that, Shirobi said to himself as he wondered if his paperwork was a living thing. It had to be, or there was no logical explanation for it. Back with Team 8, Shikamaru groaned as he looked at the bill to the lunch they just had. Enko and Naruto grinned while Hinata consoled the Nara. The pineapple-haired genin paid for the meal as they all left the place. Man, that cleared me out. How nice is that? Shikamaru wondered while Anko took out a map. She looked at the place for a second before she narrowed her eyes. Everyone noticed the look of agitation on her face while Anko turned to them. Come on, you guys. It turns out that the Land of Iron is hosting a sale all week. We'll have to hurry to get the metal, or the supplier said he'd auction it off and we can't allow that. Let's go now, Enko said as they couldn't take a leisurely stroll anymore. Everyone rushed through the trees as they hurried to the Land of Iron. They had to skip a couple of breaks, but that would be fine. For right now, they just had to focus on getting there. The sun was soon going down, and they would need to hurry. Enko-sensei, what happens if the metal is auctioned off? Shikamaru asked, and the purple-haired John narrowed her eyes. Then, whoever wins it will get the medal, and we will fail our mission. It's not our supplier's fault. It's a simple rule in the Land of Iron. During the special events, you sell all of your high-quality items to all the people who are willing to pay for them. If we don't collect our things now, then we'll have to wait for another 2 months to get supplies. And knowing how the ambu with missions, then you can see the weight of it all, can't you? Enko asked, making Naruto, Shikamaru and Hinata nod. How did you know that they were holding a sale? Naruto asked, and Enko pulled out a book. She gave it to Naruto and the blonde took it. Hinata and Shikamaru closed in next to him, with the former giving a small blush, but wanted to see also. They looked at a Land of Iron book that told about specific dates and events that would be happening from now into 2 years. Wow, where did you get this book? Na asked her, and Anko pointed back in the direction of their village. It was being sold at a local bookstore, so I bought it. Now you see why we have to hurry. We really chose the worst time to get this mission. Anko said, making the others nod. Will we be meeting other shinobi also? Hinata asked, and Anko nodded, making the others raise their eyebrows. It's only AC rank because it's classified as a simple retrieval, but the odds of meeting other shinobi is quite high. Land of Iron makes a lot of precious metals. There will be bandits, thieves, and other nations' shinobi. Are you all scared? Anko asked, making Naruto shake his head. Shikamaru rubbed the back of his head, but didn't say anything. Hinata slightly quivered, but she wasn't scared either. Enko grinned like mad as they all ran towards their checkpoint. All right, that's good. Just one word of advice. Avoid eye contact with anyone you find suspicious. People will not hesitate to pick a fight with you, Enko told them, making the team gulp. But then Naruto said something to help them. That goes double for you, Anko. Naruto told her, and making Shikamaru grin while Hinata snickered. Enko's eyebrow twitched as she turned to her brother. What are you talking about? Anko asked, and Naruto rolled his eyes at his faking sister. You know exactly what I'm talking about. That last person who looked at you funny ended up in the hospital for a week. So maybe you should take your own advice, Na told her while Anko gasped. He got you there, sensei. The entire village knew about that incident, Shikamaru told her. And Anko scratched the back of her head in embarrassment. That guy's had it coming to him. Now stop lagging behind and hurry up, Enko said, and everyone agreed as they shot for the location. Back in Konoha, 3 days later, Kurana sighed as she exited the Hokage mansion. It felt good to complete a mission, but she was rather sad that Naruto was gone on a mission of his own. She couldn't wait to have seen him. But then she'd have to wait a little longer. I wonder what I should do now, Kurani said to herself before she heard a voice from next to her. Excuse me, you're Kurenai Yuhi-san, aren't you? Someone asked her, and she turned to see Simui looked at her. Kurenai instantly recognized her. How could she not? This was her son's fiancée and her soon-to-be daughter-in-law. Whoa, that sounded so strange. Kurenai snapped out of her thoughts before addressing the blonde Kumo Genin. Yes, that's right. How may I help you, Simui-san? Kurenai asked with a small smile, and the Genin glared with the cold gaze that she always had before answering. Well, I'd like to ask you about your son, Naruto Uzumaki-san. May I? She asked, and Kurani raised an eyebrow before nodding, and the two walked off to a private place. It turned out to be the corner of a small restaurant. All right, so, what did you want to ask me? Kurenai asked, and Simui didn't waste any time. If there was one thing that Kurenai observed about Simui, it was that she could be too serious about things. Maybe that was her nature. Kurani figured it's about Naruto-san habits, or rather his stamina. When we were training together, at one point, I could feel a large spike in his chakra, and then there is his healing abilities. Is he a Gingari? Simui asked, and Kurani mentally tensed, and Simui seemed to notice it. Don't misunderstand what I'm asking. I don't hate him or anything. Kumo has two Ginuriki and I'm close to them both. They're Yugito-san and B-sensei. I was just asking because the level of chakra that I think he has is a match for theirs. Simui said, and Kurani nodded. That could make sense. And the Genjutsu mistress sighed while she lightly tapped the table in front of her. While I understand the curiosity, Simui-san, can you tell me why you didn't simply ask Naruto-kun this? Her and I asked her, and Simui wavered for a second. She slightly rubbed the back of her head. Well, we don't really know each other. I mean, I have hung out with him for a while and we talked for a bit. I think that Rakage-sama and Hokage-sama were trying to get us at a comfortable level around each other. I feel a certain level of comfort, but it wasn't enough for me to want to ask him that question. I didn't want him to think that I was crying, so I didn't ask him, Simui answered, and Kurani lightly chuckled, making Simui confused. Well, it's not really my place to tell you, as you'll just have to ask Naruto-kun about it. Trust me, when he's not offended by much. If you want to know something about him, then he'll tell you. He's just like that. I'm sure there are things about your life he'd like to know also, but doesn't want to pry. Just ask him and trust me that he will answer you when he's ready. Kurani told her, and Simui and the blonde girl nodded as she got to her feet. Thank you, Kurani-san. You have an interesting son. I look forward to getting to know him and you some more, Simui said, and she headed for the door of the restaurant, leaving a smiling Kurana behind. With Team 8. 3 days later, Land of Iron. Enko presented her passport and shinobi license, as did Naruto, Hinata, and Shikamaru. The four had quickly entered the Land of Iron country and were just in time. Also, damn, it's cold. Why is it snowing? Shikamaru asked, and Enko chuckled at him. Come on, Shika, try and toughen up, Enko said to him while the Na glared at her but didn't say anything. Thank you and enjoy the events going on, a man said, making the four nod as they entered. They were in a small city with an industrial feel to it. Granted, there was snow all around, but that didn't matter. It was different than the elemental nations, but that was the Land of Iron. They figured. Na looked around and saw plenty of people around. Just like Anko said, there were bandits, missing nin, and shinobi from other countries. Anko-sensei, why are shinobi allowed here? I heard that the Land of Iron doesn't accept the 4 great nations, Hinata told her. And Anko nodded. That's right, but we're given special permission from time to time. All the nations are. The Land of Iron is neutral to us all. Its leader is called Mafun. He's in charge. They've never participated in any of the ninja wars, so they're neutral and might remain so. Just don't piss anyone off and you'll be fine, she told them while Shikamaru shivered. All right, sensei, where is our supplier? Shikamaru asked, trying to warm himself up, and Anko pulled out a map. She pointed to one spot, and they all quickly walked, making sure not to have too much eye contact. Any one person. Business is booming, even in this cold. Ha, Na asked, and Anko nodded with a grin as they approached a shop. It was where their supplier was, and it turns out that they were just in time, too. As they heard someone yell, "Hand over that metal. No one's coming, so it's their loss if they don't take it now." "Had it over," a big man with a long sword on his back said to the supplier. "I'm sorry, sir, but you're going to have to wait 10 more minutes, and if the Konoha shinobi don't take it, then it is yours. But I will wait until those 10 minutes are up. Down to the last second," he said, and the big man grumbled with a small nod as he folded his arms. "Well, you don't have to wait anymore as we are here." "Sorry to keep you waiting," Enko said, and the man turned to see the 4 people at the door. "Konoha, I presume?" he asked, and Anko nodded with a small gleam in her eye while the man widened his own eyes. Anko, Na, Shikamaru, and Hinata came forward. "Papers, please," the man said, and Anko handed the man some papers from Konoha that listed the registration number for Konoha's order. "A thank you for your services. Do you have the money?" the man asked, and Anko nodded. But then the larger man slammed the counter. "What the hell is this? They can't just walk in here and take all that metal. Are you with me?" the man asked while Naruto leaned close to Shikamaru. "Not like any woman would in his life," Naruto whispered, making Shikamaru stifle a laugh. While Enko carried the materials and easily the Konohashinoi were about to walk out before the man blocked their path. "Don't even think about leaving here with that metal. Hand it over before I kill you," he said as he took out his sword. Enko narrowed her eyes while Hinata and Shikamaru backed away. Na glared at him while Enko bordled her fists. "Move it, Tubby," Enko yelled and the man glared at her. "I love a chick who doesn't know how to bite her tongue," the man said, and Na narrowed his eyes. His hair covered his eyes as he went through his hand signs. Hinata, Shikamaru, and Anko noticed the chakra spike while Naruto walked past Anko and glared at the man. "Anko ne looks like we're going to be having some trouble," Naro said as he slammed the ground. "No, Shin no Oyana," Na yelled as the ground shook. Immediately, the man backed away from the pitfall in front of him as Na went through some more hand signs. Kaiden, Hoku no Jutsu, Fire Release, Phoenix, Fireball Jutsu, Naruto yelled as he sent the fire towards the man, knocking him out the shop and into an adjacent building, making it explode. Dra. Wing people's attention. The man screamed as people say his burnt body. Teammate exited the shop while Na saw everyone looking at them. "So much for that plan," Enko said to herself while the store owner came out. "Young man, that was amazing. Have you ever considered doing the Land of Irons tournament? It's filled with prizes and the like. The metal you have there is something that's also being presented. It's enough for a year's supply," the man said, and Anko widened her eyes. She grinned like mad and so did Na. Shikamaru sighed as he rubbed the back of his head. "Are you sure we can enter?" Na asked. The man nodded with a smile. "That's right. Anyone can enter and they all get to stay in a hotel with all expenses paid. It'll be the amazing point to end our event. I'd like it if you stayed," the man said, and Naruto turned to Anko. The snake mistress placed a hand on her hip and tapped her finger under her chin. "Troublesome, but I say Na goes for it. It might be fun for him to let loose," Shikamaru said, and Hinata agreed. Enko smirked with a nod. "All right, Na, go and enter. But if you don't win, I'll come get you," Enko told him. And Na gulled, but he nodded and ran off to go sign up for the tournament. Anko-sensei, just how are we to get this to Hokage-sama?" Hinata asked, and the purple-haired Jonin bit her thumb. Immediately, she summoned a snake, and it slithered towards her. "How might I help you, Anko-sama?" the snake asked, and she handed the bag of metal towards the snake. "Please give this to Hokage-sama for us along with this note." "Thank you," Enko said, making the snake nod as it dispelled out of sight. Shikamaru and Hinata nodded with that method of choice. "All right, now that our mission is done, shall we go watch?" Enko asked, and the two nodded while Naruto came back. "They said that the tournament is tomorrow, so we'll have to wait." "But I signed up along with Ank," Naruto said, making Anko gasped. "Why'd you sign me up?" she asked, and the blonde rubbed the back of his head with a small smile. "Well, I figured if you were in it, then would double our chances of winning." You like those odds, don't you? Plus, you're wicked strong, Anko. Nay, Naruto complimented, and Enko blushed. Well, that is true. All right, I'll fight. I don't see the point, but okay, she said while Naruto turned to Shikamaru and Hinata. Are you two going to join? Naruto asked, and they shook their heads fast at his question. For them, they'd feel better if they didn't get involved, unless they had to. And if this tournament went wrong, then plenty of fighting would be going on. And no, Naruto-kun, I think I'll observe the fights, Hinata said, and Shikamaru nodded in the same respect. I agree. I don't want to work if I don't have to. Good luck to you both, Shikamaru said, rubbing the back of his head. Enko and Na nodded before the later came up to the shop owner. Tell me, do you know where a blacksmith is? Na asked him, and the man pointed to himself. Why, young lad, I'm a blacksmith, one of the best in the land of iron. How can I help you? He asked, and Naruto took out his 2 kodaki. Can you repair and upgrade these? I'll pay any cost you want, Naruto said while the man looked over the 2 swords. Anko, Shikamaru, and Hinata watched the interaction between them while the man took out a glass eye and looked it over. This is quite a nice metal. It's very sturdy and very exquisite. A little scratched up, but fine. I can repair this. As for upgrades, what would you like? He asked, and Naruto placed a finger to his chin. He closed his eyes for a second before he wanted to respond. Well, can you come up with something interesting? Na asked, and the man nodded. I'll tell you all what. If you or your friend there win the tournament, then this will be free. If not, then you pay. How about that? He asked, and Naruto's eyes gleamed. You got it, Oji-san, Na said to him as the 2 shook hands. Na then rummaged through his pockets and pulled out some of the metal that they just got from the supplier. Anko, nay, we still have some metal left over, Na told her, and Anko looked it over. She saw it was a fairly medium-sized piece. Nothing that would make a difference to the other types that she sent. Use it then. It's nothing serious, Anko told him. And Na gave it to the old man. Please upgrade my swords using this metal if you can, Naruto told him, and the old blacksmith smirked as he rubbed his 2 hands together. Understood, sir, he said while Na and the others left. But then the blonde turned around. Hey, can you tell me your name? Na asked him, and the man pointed to himself. My name is Muramasa, young one. Who are you? He asked, and Na gave a thumbs up. I'm Naruto Yui Uzumaki, the next Hokage of Konoha, Na said. His teammate left the shop. The man chuckled to himself as he walked over to a picture. There was a boy in his teens with a sword on his back. He was more or less glaring with a serious face while Muramasa chuckled. If only you could be as lively as him, then you'd be great ninja, Muramasa said before he rolled up his sleeves and began to work over Naruto's kodaki before he saw someone else open the door. The person was obviously female, but she had a hood over her head. She had violet hair as she wore a small kimono dress. She wore some high-heeled boots while she came inside. Good day, Muramasa-san. How are you today? The girl asked. She was about Naruto's age, maybe a year younger. Well, I haven't seen you in a while. I've been well. It's good to see you also, Muramasa said. The girl took a glance at the kodaki. You a collector of short blades now? She asked while Muramasa held up Naruto's swords as he gave a chuckle. No, I'm not. Just met the most interesting young man. He likes these blades like you. He's entering the tournament here in the land of iron, Muramasa told her while the hooded girl gave a small smile. I see. Well, that nice. Maybe I'll enter just to see what he's like. Also, Ru-sama sent you this, she said, handing him a scroll. Muramasa took the scroll and smiled. Well, thank you. Do you want some blacksmithing done also? He asked, and the girl placed her kodaki on the counter. Please and thank you. Now to see who this person is that has got you so interested. What's his name? She asked, and Muramasa gave an elderly laugh. His name is Naruto Yui Uzumaki. You should watch him closely. He's good, Muramasa said while the violent girl stepped out of the shop. I noticed a bit. Well, hope you watch as I'll be winning that tournament, she said, leaving in a swift manner. Muramasa chuckled at her while he placed her kodaki next to Naruto's. Looks like I'll have to hope that those two fight. It'll be quite interesting to see who wins, Muramasa said to himself before he got back to work. Hokage Mansion, Saratobi was finished with his work before a puff came on his table. He looked to see a medium-sized snake on his desk with a scroll. Greetings, SSS Hokage-sama. This SSSSISS from Anko-sama. Bye-bye, the snake said as it disappeared. Saratobi looked at the scroll and unsealed it. Immediately, precious metal from the land of iron fell to the ground, and he gasped when a note fell to the floor with it. He raised an eyebrow before he quickly picked up. Hokage-sama, Anko here. Hokage-sama, we've sent you the medal that was for our mission. We'd be on our way back, but Na, as we know him, entered a tournament, and the prize is a year's supply of this same medal, as well as some other things. We'll be back soon just to let you know. Please forward the money and success of the mission to our accounts. Please and thank you, Snake Mistress Anko Midarashi. Serbi stopped as he looked over the note. He sighed as he shook his head at what Naruto did, but still a year's supply of this metal. It would last Konoha for a long time. Also, this was fine as long as they all obeyed the Land of Iron's rules. Serbi could only wonder if Mafune would do something stupid. Sigh. I guess I'll give them their pay. I just hope that Naruto doesn't act too reckless, Serbi said to himself as he started another form on Enko's team and their success. Hokage Gates by Rakage-sama. Well, see you soon, Karui said with a smile, and the Rakage patted her on the head. He was about to leave with 2 ambu that the Hokage assigned to him. I understand. Behave yourselves and you'll be fine. Be safe and continue on in Konoha for another 2 weeks. Once those are over, you can come home. I'll see you soon, I said to them, making Simui. Omoi and Karui nod. They all watched him leave while Simui turned around. Simui, where are you going? Omoi asked her, and the blonde looked up at the sky. I'm going to find Kyoko-san and get some more training in for today. See you later, Samui told him as she ran off, leaving Omoi and Karui near the gates. Wanna follow her? Karui asked while Omoi rubbed the back of his head. Sure. Why not? He said as they quickly followed the blonde friend. Land of Iron hotel room. Na and Shikamaru stayed in one room while Hinata and Anko stayed in the other. The 2 boys sighed as Shikamaru shivered some more. I can't believe they're having a tournament in this place. Damn, it's cold, Shikamaru said, and Naruto chuckled at his Na friend. If you keep saying you're cold, then you will be cold. Just stop moving and go to sleep. It's easy, isn't it? Na asked, and he yawned. Shikamaru sighed as he got in the bed. So, you're going to win the tournament? Shikamaru asked, and Naruto nodded with a small grin on his face. Of course, I'll get a free upgrade, Samui. Karui and Omoi might even upgrade theirs. I hope they'll be happy, Naruto said while Shikamaru looked at his friend with a smirk. Seems like someone is starting to like the blondie from Kumo, Shikamaru said while Naruto blushed as he turned on his side of the bed. Shut up and got to sleep, the blonde genin said while Shikamaru turned on his side and closed his eyes. Na did the same as he couldn't wait to have some fun tomorrow. Little did he or anyone else know how chaotic the tournament would soon become. So guys, what do you think about this Naruto story? Tell me your opinion in the comments. And if you want more Naruto what if stories, make sure to subscribe to Universe of Naruto. Thanks for watching.